The Stargate at Stargate Command activated without authorization at 0347 hours on a Tuesday morning that would fundamentally alter Earth's standing in galactic politics. No IDC transmission. No scheduled arrival. Just 7 chevrons locking in rapid succession and the event horizon exploding outward with violent force that shattered 2 observation windows before stabilizing. Unscheduled off-world activation. The gate technician's voice carried appropriate alarm. Iris closing. The titanium barrier spiraled shut 3 micrometers from the event horizon. Protocol. Safety. The barrier that had saved Earth from countless hostile incursions. Something struck the iris from the other side with force that made the entire gate room shudder. Once. Twice. The reinforced metal that could withstand nuclear detonation began to warp visibly, stress fracture spiderwebbing across its surface. Security teams to gate room. General Landry's voice cut through the command center. All personnel take cover. Whatever's hitting that iris has power signatures off though. The iris exploded inward in a shower of titanium shrapnel. Through the compromised barrier came 2 figures moving at velocities that security cameras could barely track. The first was female, blonde hair, red and blue costume with flowing cape, young woman maybe 25 who flew without technology through the event horizon like it was empty air. The second was nightmare-given form, gray-skinned humanoid creature with elongated skull, no visible eyes, and limbs that moved with predatory wrongness. They were fighting. The blonde woman, girl, caught the creature mid-air and slammed it into the concrete wall with force that cracked reinforced structure like eggshell. The impact sent shockwaves through the mountain. Alarms shrieked. Personnel scattered. And the creature backhanded her across the gate room into the control station. Sergeant Harriman dove clear as the woman's body obliterated his workstation in explosion of sparks and shattered equipment. She rebounded immediately, no injury, no hesitation, and her eyes began to glow red. "Stay down," she shouted to the scattering personnel. "This thing is dangerous." The creature tackled her through the blast doors. Reinforced steel designed to contain Goa'uld attacks crumpled like aluminum foil. They tumbled into the corridor beyond, a whirlwind of superhuman combat that left destruction in its wake. Security teams arrived with P-90s, Zat guns, shock grenades, standard anti-Goa'uld loadout. They opened fire on both targets because training said engage all unknowns until command determined friend or foe. The bullets bounced off the blonde woman's skin. The Zat fire made her stagger but didn't drop her. She spun, confused, defensive. "Wait. I'm trying to help." "That thing is." The creature used her distraction to escape, phasing through a wall like it was mist. Some kind of intangibility power. It was gone in seconds, disappearing into Cheyenne Mountain's maze of corridors with intimate knowledge of exactly where the Stargate was, which meant it had intelligence, planning. The blonde woman moved to pursue and ran directly into concentrated fire from 20 security personnel. The sustained barrage drove her backward despite her invulnerability, overwhelming her with kinetic force if not actual damage. "Stop shooting." She raised her hands, hovering 6 inches off the floor. "You don't understand. That was a Phantom Zone criminal. It came through your portal with me. We have to. On the ground. Now." The security team leader had his P-90 trained center mass. "Hands behind your head. You are in violation of restricted military airspace and have assaulted a classified government facility." "I didn't assault anyone. I was chasing." She saw the destroyed gate room behind her. The shattered iris. The injured personnel being evacuated by medics. The millions of dollars in wrecked equipment. "Oh no. Oh Rao, I didn't mean to." A Zat blast caught her from behind. Then another. 3, 4, 5 simultaneous shots from a coordinated team using tactics designed to overwhelm Goa'uld hosts. The electrical disruption was agonizing even for Kryptonian physiology, not fatal, but overwhelming. She dropped hard, muscles seizing, and security teams swarmed her with restraints that wouldn't actually hold her, but she was too disoriented to resist properly. They dragged her, actually dragged, her mass fighting them despite her incapacitation, toward a reinforced holding cell designed for captured Goa'uld. General Landry watched from the destroyed control room, his expression carved from granite. "Someone tell me what just invaded my facility." "Two unknowns, sir," his second reported. "Female humanoid with flight capability and apparent invulnerability. Unknown species. Second entity appears to be some form of energy being or phase shifter. Both came through the Stargate without authorization. No record of the dialing sequence in our database, they came from a gate address we've never encountered. Casualties? 6 injured in the initial breach. Sergeant Harriman has a concussion. The rest are treatable. The gate room is." He gestured at the devastation. "Total loss, sir. Iris destroyed, control systems wrecked, structural damage to the gate platform itself." Landry's jaw tightened. "And the entities?" "Female in custody. The other one escaped into the mountain. Security teams are conducting sweep, but it phased through solid walls. Could be anywhere. Lock down the entire facility. Level 5 protocols. No one in or out until we've contained that thing." Landry turned to his communication officer. "Get me SG-1. I don't care where they are or what they're doing. And contact the talk array, we need to know if either of these species is in their database." "Sir," the woman kept saying something about helping. About chasing a criminal. "She also destroyed our Iris, wrecked our gate room, and brought an unknown hostile entity directly into Earth's most secure facility." Landry's voice was cold. "Until we know otherwise, she's an invader. And we treat invaders accordingly." Zor-El woke in a cell that reminded her unpleasantly of Kryptonian containment pods, all reinforced walls and humming force fields. Her head throbbed from the electrical weapons, her superhearing detected at least 40 armed guards positioned around the room's perimeter, and her X-ray vision showed walls lined with something dense enough to interfere with her scanning. Lead. They'd lined the cell with lead. "Hello." She called out, standing carefully. The cape, Kal-El's gift, the last piece of Krypton she owned, was scorched from weapons fire but intact. "Can anyone hear me? My name is Zor-El. I'm from Earth. Well, not this Earth, but an Earth. I was chasing a Phantom Zone escapee and we went through some kind of dimensional rift that connected to your, whatever that portal was." Silence. Then a speaker crackled to life. "Miss Zor-El." An older man's voice, authority without warmth. "I'm General Hank Landry, commander of this facility. You and your companion just committed what amounts to an act of war against the United States government. You destroyed classified military equipment, injured 6 of my people, and released a hostile entity into a secure installation. Before we discuss anything else, I need to know, what is that thing you brought through our Stargate?" Kara felt shame burn hot in her chest. She'd been so focused on stopping the Phantom, on preventing it from escaping to hurt people, that she hadn't thought about where the dimensional tear would lead. Hadn't considered that crashing through would cause damage. Hadn't stopped to explain before pursuing. Just like always. Act first, deal with consequences later. "His name is Zadu," she said quietly. "He's a Kryptonian war criminal from before my planet exploded. He was imprisoned in the Phantom Zone, a dimensional prison for the worst criminals my people ever produced. I was investigating reports of a breach when he attacked me. We fought through the tear and ended up, here. Wherever here is. Here is Stargate Command, an installation that guards Earth from extragalactic threats through a device called the Stargate, a wormhole generator built by an ancient race millions of years ago. We've been operating under strict protocols to prevent hostile forces from using the gate network to attack Earth. You just bypassed every one of those protocols. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I would never intentionally. Your intentions are irrelevant, Miss Zor-El. Your actions endangered this planet and compromised our security. And now there's a Kryptonian war criminal loose in my facility. Landry's tone sharpened. What can this Zadu do? What kind of threat does he represent? Kara hesitated. Explaining Kryptonian abilities to people who clearly didn't know what that meant would sound like bragging. Or worse, like a threat. Under a yellow sun, Kryptonians have enhanced abilities. Strength, speed, invulnerability, flight. We absorb solar radiation and it powers our cells. Zadu will have the same abilities I do, but he's been augmented. Before the Phantom Zone, he underwent genetic modification to enhance his natural powers. He's stronger than normal Kryptonians. Faster. And he has no moral limits. Enhanced abilities. Landry's voice was flat. We just watched you take sustained fire from 20 automatic weapons and not even flinch. You're telling me this criminal is stronger than you? Yes. And he's a mass murderer who views other species as insects. If he escapes this facility, if he realizes there's a whole planet full of humans outside with no powers to defend themselves. Kara met the camera. She could see through the lead-lined walls with X-ray vision. General, I know I made a terrible mistake coming through like that. But I'm a hero. I protect people. Let me help you stop Zadu before he hurts anyone else. A hero. Landry's skepticism was palpable. Miss Zor-El, heroes don't invade military installations. Heroes don't destroy security systems and bring war criminals to populated planets. What you did may have been unintentional, but from where I'm standing, you've done more damage to Earth's security in 5 minutes than most of our enemies accomplish in months. The words hit harder than the Zat guns. Because he was right. She'd been so focused on being the hero, on stopping the bad guy, that she'd become the threat herself. What about your Stargate? She changed approach. Can Zadu use it to escape? To reach other worlds? That's classified information I'm not sharing with someone who just invaded my facility. Landry paused. Dr. Fraser is on her way to conduct a medical examination. You'll cooperate fully. We'll be analyzing your biology, your capabilities, and determining whether you represent a threat. If we determine you're hostile, we have protocols for dealing with invulnerable enemies. If you're genuinely here to help, you'll accept our authority and follow our procedures. Clear. Clear, Kara said quietly. But General, Zadu won't wait for your procedures. He's already planning his next move. And if he finds your portal device, if he figures out how to use it, he'll spread across your galaxy like a plague. Everything I did by accident, he'll do intentionally. Please. Let me help. We'll see, Landry replied. Welcome to Earth, Miss Zor-El. You're under arrest. Dr. Janet Fraser entered the containment cell with a medical kit, 2 armed guards, and the professional composure of someone who treated everything from alien parasites to ascended beings manifesting physical injuries. But even her experience didn't quite prepare her for examining someone who just survived concentrated weapons fire without a scratch. Miss Zor-El, I'm Dr. Fraser, Chief Medical Officer. I need to conduct a physical examination. She set her kit down carefully, noting how the young woman tracked every movement with eyes that seemed to see too much. Are you injured? No. The electrical weapons hurt, but I heal fast. Kara sat on the reinforced bench, trying to appear non-threatening despite being able to bend the steel structure like origami. You can call me Kara. Miss Zor-El sounds like you're talking to my mother. Kara, then. Fraser activated her scanner, watching readings that made no medical sense. Your body temperature is elevated, 43 degrees Celsius. That should indicate severe fever, but you're clearly functional. Heart rate is 28 beats per minute. Again, physiologically impossible for conscious activity. Kryptonian biology. We're denser than humans. Our cells are designed for higher gravity and solar radiation processing. Under a yellow sun, we're basically living solar batteries. Kara hesitated. I know this sounds crazy, but I'm from Earth. Just, not this Earth. A parallel dimension where Krypton sent 2 escape pods before the planet exploded. My cousin arrived first. I came later. We protect our Earth from threats. Fraser glanced at the guards, then back to her patient. You're claiming to be from an alternate Earth where you're a superhero? I know how that sounds. But yes. On my world, I'm Supergirl. I work with the DEO, Department of Extranormal Operations, protecting National City from alien threats, dimensional incursions, and... She gestured at herself ruefully. Apparently I'm not great at preventing dimensional incursions. Since I just caused one. The guilt is eating at you. Fraser's observation was clinical but not unkind. You keep referencing the damage you caused. That's not typical behavior for an invader. Because I'm not an invader. Kara's voice rose, frustration breaking through. I was doing my job. Stopping a criminal. I didn't know the dimensional rift would lead here. Didn't know your portal existed. I just saw an escape route and followed because letting Zadu run free is worse than any property damage I could cause. She caught herself, lowered her voice. Except I did cause the damage. And people got hurt. And now everyone thinks I'm the threat. Fraser studied her for a long moment. You're young. Early 20s. 24. Earth years, anyway. Kryptonian years are different. And you've been doing this hero work how long? 3 years. Since I arrived on Earth. My cousin, Kal-El, Superman, he's been doing it longer. He trained me, but I'm... Kara struggled for words. I'm not as good at the thinking before acting part. He's patient, strategic. I'm more, charge in and deal with consequences later. Which is exactly what happened here. Fraser made notes on her tablet. Kara, I've been with the Stargate program for 8 years. I've treated Jaffa rebels fleeing false gods, Talk-RA operatives dying from symbiote rejection, and humans subjected to Goa'uld experiments. I've learned to recognize genuine distress versus hostile intent. You're genuinely horrified by what happened. Of course I am. 6 people injured because I crashed through their defenses like a wrecking ball. Your security destroyed because I was too focused on Zadu to think about where we were going. Kara met Fraser's eyes. On my world, I'm supposed to be the hero. Here, I'm the disaster everyone needs protection from. Before Fraser could respond, alarms shrieked through the facility. Red emergency lighting bathed the cell. The speaker crackled with urgent voices. Security breach, level 18. Hostile entity has accessed the armory. All teams engage. Then screaming. Cut off abruptly. Kara was on her feet instantly. That's Zadu. He's found your weapons. Doctor, you need to let me out. Right now. I don't have authority to. Then get someone who does. Kara's superhearing tracked the Chaos 18 levels below. Gunfire. Explosions. More screaming. He's killing your people. Whatever weapons you have down there, they won't stop him. I'm the only one who can fight him on even terms. Fraser keyed her radio. General Landry, the entity has breached the armory on level 18. Multiple casualties. Miss Zor-El is requesting release to engage. Denied. Landry's voice was iron. We don't release one invader to fight another. SG-1 is responding. Keep her contained. General, with respect, your teams can't. Fraser stopped as the guard suddenly collapsed, unconscious before hitting the floor. Zadu materialized through the cell wall, his phase-shifting ability allowing him passage through solid matter. Up close, his appearance was even more disturbing, gray Kryptonian skin marked with genetic modification scars, eyes that had no iris or pupil, just solid black. He wore prison garb from the Phantom Zone that was now scorched and torn. Little Kara Zor-El. His voice carried dual tones, like two people speaking slightly out of sync, an effect of his modifications. Daughter of the House of El. You led me to paradise. Zadu. Kara positioned herself between the criminal and Dr. Fraser. This isn't paradise. It's a military facility full of innocent people. You need to surrender. Surrender, Zadu laughed, the sound scraping like metal on bone. I spent centuries in the Phantom Zone because your family condemned me. Imprisoned for the crime of evolving beyond Krypton's weak moral constraints. And now I'm free in a universe full of primitives with technology one can claim. Why would I surrender? Because I won't let you hurt these people. You couldn't stop me in the zone. You can't stop me here. Zadu's attention shifted to Fraser. This one has been studying you. Learning your biology. How useful. He moved with Kryptonian speed, reaching for the doctor. Kara intercepted, catching his arm and throwing him through the cell wall into the corridor beyond. Reinforced concrete exploded outward. She flew after him, their combat immediately escalating to velocities human perception couldn't track. They tumbled through 3 levels of Cheyenne Mountain, each impact cratering walls and floors, before Zadu caught Kara with a punch that sent her flying backward through a storage area. She crashed through shelving units full of alien artifacts, scattering Goa'uld technology and ancient devices across the floor. You're weak, little girl. Zadu stalked forward, his footsteps cracking concrete. You fight with Kryptonian strength but human conscience. It makes you predictable. Exploitable. Kara struggled to her feet, tasting blood. She could be hurt by opponents of equal strength. The invulnerability wasn't absolute against Kryptonian power. I'm strong enough to stop you. Are you? Zadu smiled, revealing teeth filed to points. Because I've already won. While you were locked in that cell, I accessed this facility's computers. Learned about this Stargate device. Discovered it connects to thousands of worlds across 2 galaxies. I can spread to every planet, claim hosts, build an army. You can't operate the Stargate. It requires specific coordinates, dialing sequences. I absorbed the knowledge from one of your soldiers. The one guarding the armory. His memories are quite illuminating. Zadu tapped his head. Another benefit of my modifications. I can extract information from organic minds. Messily, but effectively. Horror flooded through Kara. He'd killed someone and absorbed their knowledge. The casual way he mentioned it, like discussing the weather, made her stomach turn. I'm going to stop you, she said quietly. Whatever it takes. Then you'll have to kill me, little Kara. Are you prepared for that? To take a life? To violate your precious El family code? Zadu's challenge hung in the air. Because I have no such limitations. He blurred forward, faster than before, and Kara barely got her arms up to block. They exchanged blows at superhuman speed, each impact creating shockwaves that blew out lights and cracked walls. Zadu was stronger, more experienced in combat, willing to use lethal force. Kara was holding back, trying to incapacitate rather than kill, and it was costing her. A punch to her solar plexus doubled her over. A kick sent her flying into a wall hard enough to leave an imprint. Zadu followed up with heat vision, red beams of concentrated thermal energy that Kara barely dodged, leaving molten scars across the corridor. This facility has interesting toys. Zadu grabbed a piece of glowing technology from the scattered artifacts, an ancient healing device. Your primitive scientists don't even understand half of what they've collected. But I do. The ancients. The Goa'uld. The Ori. All documented in your databases. All resources I can exploit. He activated the device, and golden energy washed over him. Wounds Kara had inflicted healed instantly. His power signature increased. You brought me to a treasure trove, little girl. And for that, I thank you. Before Kara could respond, the corridor exploded with weapons fire. SG-1 had arrived, 4 figures in tactical gear with weapons that were clearly more advanced than standard firearms. The leader, a middle-aged man with gray hair and tactical command presence, directed fire with professional precision. Concentrate fire on the hostile. Kent, flank right. Carter, suppression pattern delta. The weapons were different. Some fired energy bolts similar to what she'd seen earlier. Others launched projectiles that exploded with concussive force. And one, a massive cannon-like weapon carried by a large bald man, fired a beam of concentrated energy that actually made Zada stagger. Staff cannon. The man roared. TLC, adjust frequency. Target his molecular phase shift. Zadu snarled, his attention dividing between Kara and the new threats. More primitives with toys. How tedious. Kara, stay down. The team leader, O'Neill, she thought she'd heard, coordinated the assault with the practiced efficiency of someone who'd fought impossible threats before. We've got this. But they didn't. Kara could see it in the way Zadu was adapting to their weapons, learning their patterns. In seconds, he'd figure out how to counter their technology. Then he'd kill them. No. Kara flew forward, interposing herself between Zadu and SG-1. Fall back. You can't fight him with conventional weapons. Who asked you? O'Neill snapped, continuing to fire. We're not letting one invader protect us from another. I'm trying to help. You've helped enough. A younger man with glasses, Daniel, shouted over the weapon's fire. You brought this thing here. The accusation hit like a physical blow because it was true. Everything happening was her fault. The casualties. The destruction. The monster threatening these people. Zada used her distraction to hit her with his full strength, a punch that sent her crashing through 4 walls before she arrested her momentum. By the time she recovered, he was gone, phased through the floor, heading deeper into the mountain. Toward the Stargate. SG-1 turned their weapons on her. Colonel O'Neill's expression was pure tactical assessment. You. Down. Now. Please. Kara raised her hands, non-threatening despite being able to overpower all of them in seconds. I know you don't trust me. I know I've given you every reason not to. But Zadu is heading for your gate. If he figures out how to operate it, he'll escape to another world. He'll find people to hurt, technology to steal, armies to build. Let me stop him. Let me fix what I broke. Why should we trust you? A woman, Carter, clearly military but with scientist's eyes, kept her weapon trained but her finger off the trigger. You invaded our facility, destroyed our defenses, and brought a war criminal through the gate. Give us one reason to believe you're on our side. Kara looked at the destruction surrounding them. At the injured personnel being evacuated. At the breach in Earth's security she'd created with her reckless pursuit of justice. Because I'm Supergirl, she said quietly. And despite everything I've done wrong, I'm still a hero. I still save people. And I'm not going to let Zadu hurt anyone else. With your help or without it. The team exchanged glances. Some silent communication passing between them. Then O'Neill lowered his weapon fractionally. Alright, Supergirl. You get one chance. 1. You help us stop this Zadu character, you follow our commands, and maybe, we don't lock you up and throw away the key. But you step out of line, you go rogue, you cause one more security breach, and we'll find a way to put you down permanently. We've killed gods before. We can handle one invading Kryptonian. Clear. Crystal clear. Then let's move. Carter, what's the fastest route to the gate room? As SG-1 moved out with military precision, Kara followed, feeling the weight of provisional trust that could shatter at any moment. She'd come through that Stargate as a hero chasing a villain. Now she was an invader trying to prove she wasn't the real threat. And the clock was ticking. The gate room was chaos. Emergency klaxons wailed. Blast doors hung twisted from their housings. And at the center, Zadu stood before the Stargate with one hand on the DHD, the dial-home device, as if trying to divine its operation through touch alone. He's attempting to activate the gate. Major Samantha Carter's scanner was going haywire. Sir, his energy signature is interfacing with the DHD's crystal matrix. He's not dialing, he's trying to download the entire address database directly into his brain. Can he do that? O'Neill demanded, weapon trained on the Kryptonian criminal. The DHD contains addresses for thousands of gate locations across multiple galaxies. If he absorbs that information. Carter didn't finish. She didn't need to. Zadu's head snapped up, those solid black eyes fixing on the assembled team. Ah. The primitives and their pet Kryptonian. Come to witness my ascension. Ascension? Daniel Jackson adjusted his glasses nervously. That's a very specific word. How do you know about ascension? I absorbed it from your soldiers' memories. Along with knowledge of the ancients, the Ori, beings of pure energy who transcended physical form, Zadu's smile was predatory. Your universe has such fascinating concepts. On Krypton, we had science. Here, you have mythology made real. Gods and ascended beings and technology that bridges dimensions. I'm going to claim it all. You're going to die here, Kara said, stepping forward. The cape, Kal-El's gift, symbol of hope, hung torn and scorched from combat. But she wore it like armor. Step away from the DHD, Zadu. This ends now. Does it? The criminal gestured casually at the gate room. Look at what you've already done, little Kara. Their security destroyed. Their people injured. Their faith in their defenses shattered. And you think you're the hero? He laughed. You're the invader. I'm merely the consequence. He's stalling, TLC observed, his staff weapon trained with unwavering aim. He cannot operate the DHD without additional information. Then we contain him before he gets it. O'Neill raised his hand, signaling. Carter, do we have any of those red sun lamps from the briefing files? Sir. Carter looked confused. Superman's weakness. Red sun radiation. If she, he gestured at Kara, shares the same biology, then maybe. No. Kara interrupted. Red sun radiation will weaken both of us, but it takes time. Minutes of sustained exposure. And while you're setting it up, Zadu will kill everyone in this room. Then what do you suggest? O'Neill's tone was challenging. Because from where I'm standing, we've got 2 invulnerable aliens and a gate that leads to thousands of worlds. Our options are limited. I'll fight him. Keep him occupied while you evacuate the facility and set up whatever containment you can. Kara met O'Neill's eyes. I know you don't trust me. But right now, I'm the only thing standing between Zadu and the rest of your planet. That's not a plan. That's suicide with extra steps. It's what I have. Before O'Neill could respond, alarms shrieked a new warning. The Stargate began activating on its own, chevrons locking in sequence without anyone touching the DHD. Incoming wormhole. The gate technician shouted from the backup control room. Someone's dialing in. Close the iris. O'Neill commanded. Sir, the iris is destroyed. We have no barrier. The 7th chevron locked. The wormhole exploded outward and stabilized into shimmering blue infinity. Zadu smiled triumphantly. Perfect timing. Through the event horizon stepped figures that made even Kara's enhanced perception struggle to process. They appeared human at first glance, robed, serene, with intricate golden staffs. But their eyes glowed with inner fire, and their presence radiated something that wasn't quite power, wasn't quite divinity, but existed somewhere between. Ori priors, Daniel breathed in horror. Oh no. This is bad. This is really, really bad. Hallowed are the Ori, the lead prior intoned, voice carrying harmonics that shouldn't exist in human vocal cords. We have sensed a disturbance in this realm. A convergence of dimensional boundaries. A breach in reality's fabric. The prior's glowing eyes fixed on Kara and Zadu. Two beings of impossible power. Not of this universe. Not born of origin. You are aberrations. Corruption of the natural order. Fascinating, Zadu studied the priors with scientific interest. You're enhanced humans. Some form of genetic or technological augmentation granting supernatural abilities. Tell me, how does it work? You dare question the Ori? The prior raised his staff, golden energy gathering. You who invade this realm uninvited? I'm sorry. Kara stepped forward, hands raised peacefully. We didn't mean to come here. It was an accident during pursuit of a criminal. We're not here to challenge anyone or... The prior's staff unleashed a wave of pure force. Not technology. Not physical power. Something else, energy that bypassed conventional physics and struck directly at biological structure. It hit Kara like a truck made of agony. Her invulnerability meant nothing against this attack. She dropped to her knees, gasping, every nerve ending screaming. Around her, SG-1 weathered the assault better. They'd faced priors before, had some resistance, but it was still debilitating. Zadu, however, merely tilted his head. Interesting. Directed energy that interfaces with neural pathways. Similar to Kryptonian neural disruptors but operating on quantum principles. He walked through the prior's attack like it was gentle rain. You're using belief as a power source. Channeling worship from your followers to fuel supernatural abilities. Clever. Inefficient, but clever. Impossible. The prior intensified the attack. No mortal flesh can withstand the power of the Ori. I'm not mortal in the way you understand it. Zadu reached the prior in a blur of speed and placed one hand on the glowing staff. And I'm very interested in understanding how your power works. What happened next would haunt Kara's memory. Zadu's hand glowed with the same golden energy as the prior's staff. Then the light began flowing backward, from the prior into Zadu. The robed figure screamed, his body convulsing, as the Kryptonian criminal drained whatever power fueled the Ori's servants. Fascinating, Zadu murmured as the prior collapsed, lifeless. Ascended beings using mortals as vessels for their will. And the vessels themselves are modified at the cellular level to channel extradimensional energy. I wonder, if I consume enough of them, can I achieve ascension myself? The other two priors attacked in unison, their combined power enough to level buildings. Zadu caught the energy blasts with his bare hands and absorbed them like a sponge, his body beginning to glow with stolen power. Stop him. O'Neill opened fire, his weapon joined by the rest of SG-1. P-90 rounds, staff cannon blasts, even TLCS captured Goa'uld weaponry. Everything they had. Zadu waved one hand dismissively and the weapon's fire stopped mid-air, frozen by telekinetic force he shouldn't possess. The prior's abilities are quite useful. Telekinesis, energy manipulation, biological control. He clenched his fist and the suspended bullets crumpled into scrap. All mine now. Kara forced herself to her feet, fighting through the lingering pain from the prior's attack. Zadu, if you kill those priors, you're declaring war on the Ori. They're ascended beings, higher dimensional entities with power beyond anything you can imagine. Then I'll absorb their power too. Zadu turned to the remaining priors, hunger in his expression. Everything in this universe is a resource to be claimed. Power, knowledge, entire civilizations. And thanks to you, little Kara, I've found a reality ripe for conquest. He moved toward the priors with predatory grace. Kara flew to intercept, catching him mid-lunge and driving them both away from the gate room. They crashed through walls, through levels of the facility, their combat shaking the entire mountain. "You can't keep doing this," Kara shouted, blocking a punch that would have caved in a tank. "Every world you threaten, every person you hurt, you're proving that Krypton was right to imprison you." Krypton was weak. Zadu's heat vision carved molten lines across her shoulder, one of the few attacks that could hurt her. They feared evolution. Feared power. They imprisoned visionaries like me while celebrating mediocrity like your House of El. He grabbed her cape and used it to throw her through a support column. "You wear that symbol like it means something. Hope. How pathetic." Kara crashed into an equipment room, medical supplies and alien artifacts scattering. She was losing. Zadu was stronger, more ruthless, and now he had prior abilities supplementing his Kryptonian powers. She needed an advantage. Her X-ray vision caught something in the wreckage, a Goa'uld sarcophagus, damaged but still partially functional. The healing device that could resurrect the dead but corrupted the user's morality through addictive regeneration. An idea formed. Terrible. Risky. But possibly the only way. Zadu stalked into the room, golden energy crackling around his hands. "You're outmatched, little girl. Accept it. Join me. Together, we could rule this galaxy. Recreate Krypton's glory without its weakness. I'd rather die. That can be arranged." He lunged, and Kara dodged at the last second, not away, but toward the damaged sarcophagus. She grabbed the device's power core and crushed it with all her strength. The crystal shattered, releasing raw energy in an uncontrolled burst. The explosion engulfed them both. When the light cleared, Kara lay smoking in a crater, her suit burned, her body covered in actual wounds for the first time in years. The sarcophagus energy had interfaced badly with Kryptonian cellular structure, causing damage her invulnerability couldn't prevent. But Zadu had taken the same blast at point-blank range. He was down, injured, his stolen prior powers flickering unstably. SG-1. Kara gasped into her radio, somehow still functional. "I've got him contained." "Barely. Need containment protocols. Now." O'Neill's voice crackled back. "On our way." "And Supergirl?" "That was either the bravest or stupidest thing I've seen today." "Possibly both." "Definitely both," Kara admitted, struggling to stay conscious. Her enhanced healing was already working, but slowly. The sarcophagus blast had done real damage. Zadu stirred, his black eyes fixing on her with pure hatred. "You dare?" "Yeah. I dare." Kara forced herself to her feet, swaying. "Because that's what heroes do. We stop monsters. Even when it costs us everything." "You're no hero, little Kara." Zadu's laugh was weak but venomous. "You're an invader. A disaster wrapped in a cape. These primitives will never trust you. Never accept you. You brought me here, and now you're as much a threat as I am." The words cut because they were partially true. She had invaded. Had brought catastrophe. Had earned their distrust. But she was still standing. Still fighting. Still trying to protect people despite her mistakes. SG-1 arrived with heavy containment equipment, a device that projected a shimmering force field around Zadu's prone form. Not permanent, Carter warned, but enough to hold him while they figured out long-term solutions. "The priors?" Kara asked. "Two dead. One escaped through the gate." Daniel's expression was grim. "They'll report back to the Ori. We've been fighting them for months, and this just escalated everything. The Ori now know Earth has dimensional invaders with powers that can kill their priors." "I'm sorry." Kara said it to all of them. "This is all my fault." "Yes," O'Neill agreed bluntly. "It is. You invaded our facility, brought a war criminal, destroyed our defenses, and started a conflict with ascended beings that want to convert or destroy our entire galaxy. He paused. But you also stopped him when we couldn't. Took a blast that should have killed you. Put yourself between our people and the threat. So what happens now? Kara asked quietly. Now. O'Neill looked at Landry, who'd joined them in the destroyed equipment room. Now we have a very long conversation about what to do with 2 Kryptonian invaders. And Supergirl? That conversation is going to involve a lot of very angry people asking very hard questions. Kara nodded, accepting it. She'd come through the Stargate as a hero. She'd acted like an invader. And now she'd have to face the consequences. Through the facility's damaged walls, she could see Earth's sun setting, yellow, beautiful, feeding her cells with power even as her world fell apart. She was Supergirl. Symbol of hope. Protector of the innocent. And in this universe, she was the invader who'd brought nothing but catastrophe. The briefing room on level 25 had survived Kara's unintentional destruction of Cheyenne Mountain, which felt appropriate since it would serve as the location for her trial in all but name. General Landry sat at the head of the conference table. SG-1 occupied one side. On the video screens, representatives from the Pentagon, the IOA, International Oversight Advisory, and what appeared to be holographic projections of alien representatives, Takare, by the glowing symbiote eyes. Kara sat at the opposite end, wearing borrowed BDUs to replace her torn suit. The House of El crest had been carefully preserved by Dr. Fraser, who'd understood what the symbol meant even if no one else did. Guards flanked the door, not that conventional security could hold her, but the gesture was clear. She was on trial. Miss Zor-El. Landry's formality was absolute. In the 72 hours since your arrival, you've destroyed our iris, wrecked our gate room, released a Kryptonian war criminal into our facility, killed 2 Ori priors, and caused a diplomatic incident that has strained our alliances across 2 galaxies. The IOA is calling for your immediate imprisonment. The Takare are demanding your extradition for study. And the Ori have declared Earth's protection of dimensional aberrations as heresy punishable by extermination. He paused, letting that sink in. Before we make any decisions about your status, we need answers. Starting with, what exactly is Zadu planning? Kara took a breath, organizing her thoughts. Zadu was Krypton's most dangerous criminal even before the genetic modifications. He believed Kryptonians were meant to rule other species. When Krypton's High Council rejected his ideology, he started a war that killed millions. The Council imprisoned him in the Phantom Zone, a dimension outside normal spacetime where prisoners exist in stasis. But he's not in stasis now, Carter observed. He absorbed prior abilities. He interfaced with our DHD. He's learning and adapting. That's what the modifications allow. Kara's voice carried shame. Before his imprisonment, Zadu underwent experimental procedures to enhance his Kryptonian abilities. Increased strength, faster healing, and the ability to absorb and replicate powers he encounters. On Krypton, under a red sun, those modifications were manageable. Here, under a yellow sun, with access to technologies and abilities from across your galaxy. He's becoming a god, Daniel finished quietly. Taking powers from the priors, knowledge from our databases, technology from ancient artifacts. Every encounter makes him stronger. How do we stop him? This from a Takare representative on the screen, a woman whose dual-toned voice indicated symbiote and host. Our preliminary scans suggest conventional weapons are ineffective. Even Goa'uld technology designed to kill Jaffa enhanced by symbiotes barely slows him. Red sun radiation. Kara hated suggesting it, knowing it applied to her too. Kryptonians derive power from yellow sun radiation. Expose us to red sun wavelengths and we weaken. It's not instant, but sustained exposure, 20 to 30 minutes, will reduce us to baseline human strength. Which we already implemented. Landry gestured, and a technician activated wall panels that began emitting a dull red glow. Prototype systems based on intelligence we've gathered. They're active in Zadu's containment cell as we speak. Kara felt the change immediately. Not painful like the prior's attack, but a gradual draining. Her enhanced vision dimmed. Her hearing normalized. The constant sensation of power thrumming through her cells began to fade. "You're weakening me." She looked at Landry with understanding. "While we talk, you're making sure I can't break out if this goes badly. Can you blame us?" O'Neill's tone was matter-of-fact. "You've given us every reason not to trust you. This is insurance." "I understand." And she did. They were protecting their people from a threat they couldn't otherwise contain. Just like she would do in their position. An IOA representative, a severe-looking woman with British accent, spoke from the video screen. "General Landry, the International Oversight Advisory has reviewed the incident reports. Miss Zor-El's actions, while allegedly well-intentioned, have endangered Earth's security and violated multiple international laws regarding military installations. We recommend immediate detention and study to determine if her biology can be weaponized for Earth's defense." "Weaponized?" Kara's voice rose. "I'm not a weapon. I'm a person. You're an alien with powers that make you functionally invulnerable to conventional military force," the IOA representative countered. "Whether you're a person or a weapon is a matter of perspective. What's certain is that you represent capabilities Earth needs if we're to survive in this galaxy. She also represents a massive security risk," another voice added, Pentagon brass, "by the uniform. We can't control her. Can't predict her. And her presence has already triggered an Ori response. The strategic calculus is clear, she's more liability than asset." Kara felt the walls closing in. They were discussing her like a tactical problem to solve, not a person seeking help. And the worst part? They weren't wrong. She was a liability. Everything she'd done proved it. "What about Zadu?" Daniel interjected, his archaeologist's curiosity mixed with genuine concern. "If we detain or study Kara, we lose our best source of intelligence on how to stop him. She knows his abilities, his tactics, his psychology. That's valuable." Dr. Jackson raises a valid point. The TOC-RA representative leaned forward. "The TOC-RA have been studying the reports. This Zadu represents an unprecedented threat, Kryptonian power enhanced with prior abilities and access to ancient technology. We need expertise on his capabilities. Miss Zor-El provides that." "At what cost?" The IOA woman persisted. "She's demonstrated poor judgment, reckless behavior, and a tendency toward destruction. Giving her freedom is inviting another catastrophe. Then we don't give her freedom." Carter's voice cut through the argument. "We give her structure. Military oversight. Make her actions accountable to command authority." Everyone turned to look at her. Carter met their gazes steadily. "Sir, we've worked with former enemies before. TLC was first prime to Apophis, he killed SGC personnel before switching sides. We trusted him because he proved himself through actions, not words. Jonas Quinn replaced Daniel when we didn't know if we could trust him. Even the TOC-RA were controversial allies at first." "Your point, Major?" Landry asked. "My point is that Supergirl came here chasing a criminal. She made mistakes, catastrophic ones, but her intent was to protect people. Since arriving, she's fought Zada twice, taken injuries defending our personnel, and provided intelligence we desperately need. She's not our enemy. She's a potential ally who needs to learn how we operate. You're suggesting we recruit her?" O'Neill sounded skeptical. "Carter, she destroyed our iris. I'm suggesting we give her the same chance we gave TLC. Provisional status. Supervised missions. Prove herself through service instead of punishing her for an accident." Carter looked at Kara. "If she's willing." Kara's throat tightened. Someone was defending her. Advocating for her despite everything. I'm willing. Whatever it takes to fix what I broke. The Tok'ra would support this approach, the alien representative said. With conditions. We want full access to study Miss Zor-El's biology, consensually, to understand Kryptonian physiology. And we want oversight of any missions she participates in. Earth cannot afford another dimensional invader going rogue. The IOA objects. The British woman's tone was sharp. This sets dangerous precedent. Aliens with superhuman abilities answering to military command without proper international oversight. With respect, Landry interrupted, the IOA doesn't run Stargate command. I do. And Major Carter's suggestion has merit. Miss Zor-El has skills we need, knowledge we lack, and demonstrated willingness to risk herself for others despite having no obligation to this world. He turned to Kara directly. Here's the deal. You work for us. Under our command. Following our protocols. You help us stop Zadu, and you accept whatever consequences the IOA and Pentagon determine for the invasion incident. No negotiations. No exceptions. You step out of line once, and we activate Red Sun containment and keep you in a cell until we figure out permanent solutions. Clear. It was a leash. Conditional trust with immediate revocation if she failed. But it was also a chance to prove herself. To show she could be the hero she claimed to be, even in a universe that had every reason to see her as a threat. Clear, General. I accept. Good. Because we have an immediate problem. Landry activated a star map showing multiple gate addresses. 3 hours ago, Zadu escaped containment. The Red Sun radiation was working, but he used his absorbed prior abilities to override the force field from the inside. By the time security responded, he'd phased through the mountain and reached the gate. Kara's heart sank. Where did he go? We don't know. He dialed manually, using knowledge he absorbed from the soldier he killed. Could be any of thousands of worlds. Landry's expression was grim. But 30 minutes ago, we received a priority transmission from the Tok'ra. One of their operatives on a planet called Kalana reported a Kryptonian matching Zadu's description attacking a Jaffa settlement. Kalana is a free Jaffa colony, TLC explained. Former slaves who rejected the Goa'uld and now govern themselves. They are allies. If Zadu attacks them, it will be seen as an assault on Earth's coalition. It's worse than that. The Tok'ra representative's image shifted to show grainy footage, surveillance from the planet. It showed Zadu, but changed. His skin glowed with golden prior energy. His eyes burned with stolen power. And around him, Jaffa warriors lay dead, their life forces visibly drained into Zadu's body. He's consuming them, Carter breathed in horror. Not just killing. Absorbing their life energy. The symbiotes the Jaffa carry, he's taking those too. Each Jaffa symbiote contains genetic memory of thousands of years, TLC said quietly. If Zadu absorbs enough, he will possess knowledge of every system lord, every Goa'uld strategy, every secret the false gods ever held. He's building himself into something new, Daniel realized. Kryptonian power, prior abilities, Goa'uld knowledge, and access to the gate network. He's not just trying to survive. He's trying to become the most powerful being in the galaxy. Landry stood. SG-1, you're tasked with tracking and containing Zadu. Miss Zor-El will accompany you as specialist consultant. Your mission is reconnaissance and intelligence gathering. Engage only if civilians are at immediate risk. We need to understand what he's becoming before we can stop him. And if we can't stop him? O'Neill asked. Then we blow up the planet he's on and hope it's enough. Landry's tone made clear he wasn't joking. We've done it before. We'll do it again if necessary. Kara stood, feeling the red sun radiation's effects still weakening her but manageable. General, I need my suit back. And access to yellow sun radiation to recharge before the mission. I can't fight Zadu at reduced power. Denied. You go as you are, weakened, supervised, and on a very short leash. You've done enough damage at full power. Let's see what you can do when you're vulnerable like the rest of us. It was a test. Prove she could be effective without godlike abilities. Show she was more than just power in a cape. Understood, sir. SG-1, gear up. Gate departure in 20 minutes. And Supergirl? Landry's expression softened fractionally. Major Carter went out on a limb for you. Don't make her regret it. I won't, sir. As the briefing dissolved, Kara found herself walking beside Carter toward the armory. The Major moved with military precision softened by scientists' curiosity. Thank you, Kara said quietly. For defending me. You didn't have to. No, I didn't. Carter glanced at her. But I've been where you are. Made mistakes that cost lives. Had to prove myself worthy of trust. The difference is I had people who believed I could be better. Figured you deserved the same chance. What if I fail? What if I can't stop him? Then we'll figure it out together. That's what teams do. Carter smiled slightly. Welcome to SG-1, Supergirl. Try not to blow anything up on your first official mission. Kara managed a weak laugh despite everything. No promises. 20 minutes later, she stood before the Stargate in borrowed tactical gear, the House of El crest carefully sewn onto the vest by Dr. Fraser. SG-1 surrounded her, O'Neill with his tactical command presence, Carter with her scientific brilliance, Daniel with his cultural insight, and TLC with his warrior's honor. She'd invaded their world. Destroyed their security. Brought catastrophe to their doorstep. Now she was part of their team. Provisionally. Conditionally. One mistake away from permanent imprisonment. The Stargate activated, chevrons locking in sequence. The wormhole established with that familiar shimmer, no longer a dimensional accident but an authorized mission. Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, Invader turned provisional ally, was about to step through on purpose. Standard protocol, O'Neill briefed as they approached the ramp. We go through, assess the situation, gather intel. You stick with Carter. You follow orders. You do not engage Zadu unless I give explicit authorization. This is reconnaissance, not a showdown. We clear. Crystal clear, Colonel. And Supergirl? If you go rogue, if you ignore command, if you put my team at risk, O'Neill's eyes were hard, I will personally activate every red sun lamp we have and leave you powerless in the middle of hostile territory. We've lost good people trusting the wrong aliens. I won't make that mistake again. You won't have to. I'm done making things worse. TLC placed a hand on her shoulder with surprising gentleness. Redemption is not given, Kara Zor-El. It is earned through consistent action over time. You have begun that journey. See it through. I will. Daniel adjusted his glasses, looking uncomfortable with weapons but determined. Just, try to remember that we're a lot more fragile than you. Even weakened by red sun radiation, you're still stronger than us. Be careful where you throw punches. I'll be careful. Carter checked her P90, then met Kara's eyes with a look that was part trust, part warning. You've got potential. Raw, unpolished, but there. Let's see if you can be the hero you claim to be when the odds are against you and you can't just punch your way through. Kara nodded, feeling the weight of provisional trust like physical pressure. They were giving her a chance. One chance. She couldn't waste it. SG-1, you have a go, Landry's voice came through the speakers. Bring me intel on Zadu's current capabilities and intentions. And bring everyone home. Including our newest problem child. O'Neill led the way through the event horizon. Carter followed. Daniel next. TLC gestured for Kara to precede him, tactical positioning, keeping the unknown element under observation. Kara stepped into the wormhole and felt molecular dissolution for the second time since arriving in this universe. But now it wasn't accident or invasion. It was purpose. Mission. A chance to prove she could be more than the catastrophe she'd caused. They emerged on Kalana into golden afternoon light from a sun that was distinctly orange-tinted, not quite Earth's yellow but close enough to begin recharging her depleted cells. The Stargate stood in a village square surrounded by stone buildings with distinctly Jaffa architectural elements, practical, fortified, built by people who'd learned to defend themselves. But the village was silent. Too silent. Bodies lay scattered across the plaza. Jaffa warriors in simple clothing, no longer serving false gods, but no less dead. Their faces were gaunt, desiccated, like something had drained the life directly from their flesh. Symbiote pouches hung empty, the larvae that had sustained them gone. "Oh God," Daniel whispered, moving to check for survivors. He killed them all. Not just killed, Carter's scanner was active, reading residual energy signatures. There's trace prior energy mixed with something else, cellular breakdown at the molecular level. He didn't just kill them. He consumed them. Absorbed their life force, their symbiotes, their genetic memories. TLC knelt beside a fallen warrior, his expression carved from stone. I knew this man. Ragnar. He fought beside Bratak in the rebellion against Apophis. He survived decades as a Jaffa slave only to die free by the hand of Kara, Zor-El's enemy. The accusation in that last phrase cut deep. Her enemy. Her responsibility. TLC, Kara started. Do not apologize. The Jaffa stood, staff weapon gripped tight. Apologies are words. Actions matter. Find Zadu. Stop him. Give Ragnar's death meaning. Spread out, O'Neill commanded. Standard search pattern. Carter, scan for any energy signatures that might indicate where he went. Daniel, check for survivors or anyone who might have witnessed what happened. TLC, perimeter security. And Supergirl, he looked at Kara, use those enhanced senses of yours. Tell me if you hear or see anything unusual. Kara extended her senses, pushing through the red sun fatigue. Her hearing picked up, there. Heartbeats. Rapid, terrified. Coming from a building at the plaza's edge. There are survivors. Eastern building, second floor. 3 people, elevated heart rates, trying to stay quiet. O'Neill signaled, and the team moved with practiced efficiency. They cleared the building room by room until they found them, 2 Jaffa adults and a child, maybe 8 years old, huddled in a storage room behind overturned furniture. It's okay, Daniel spoke in Goa'uld, the trade language most Jaffa understood. We're from Earth. The Tauri. We're here to help. Can you tell us what happened? The adult male, an elder by his gray hair and ceremonial tattoos, looked at them with eyes that had seen too much death. The demon came through the Chapai. We thought perhaps a Goa'uld, but no. Worse. He moved like wind. Killed like plague. Our warriors tried to stop him, but their weapons meant nothing. He touched them and they, withered. Died. Their symbiotes screamed as he pulled them from their pouches. Did he say anything? Carter asked gently. Mention where he was going. He spoke of ascension. Of becoming more than flesh. He said the Ori had shown him the path, worship as power, life force as fuel. He would consume entire worlds until he became a god in truth, not just name. The child whimpered, and her mother pulled her close. He saw us. Looked right at us. Then he smiled and said we were insufficient. He wants strong hosts. Warriors. Those enhanced by symbiotes or technology. The weak he ignores. That's why he attacked a Jaffa colony, TLC said grimly. Each Jaffa carries a symbiote with genetic memory. Each one consumed adds to his knowledge base. He is systematically hunting those who can offer him the greatest power increase. Then where would he go next? O'Neill looked at TLC. If you were hunting enhanced targets, what would be the next logical step? The Takare, TLC and Carter said simultaneously. Carter elaborated, Takare operatives are blended with symbiotes willingly. They have all the benefits of Goa'uld enhancement plus access to advanced technology and intelligence networks. If Zadu absorbs Takare, he doesn't just gain strength, he gains strategic knowledge of our entire alliance structure. We need to warn them. Daniel was already moving toward the door. If he hits a Takare base. An explosion rocked the village. Then another. The ground shook with impacts that were too regular, too powerful to be natural. Kara's enhanced hearing caught it first, the scream of atmospheric entry, the whine of engines she recognized from SGC briefings. Death gliders. Multiple incoming. Goa'uld. O'Neill's weapon came up. What the hell are Goa'uld doing here? We're under Takare protection, and this colony is. The first death glider screamed overhead, strafing the plaza with plasma fire. But something was wrong. The attack was erratic, desperate. And through her dimmed X-ray vision, Kara could see the pilot's physiology was distorted, wrong. Those aren't Goa'uld, she realized with horror. Those are Zadu's puppets. He's controlling them somehow. A glider crashed into the village center, pilot stumbling out with jerky, uncoordinated movements. His eyes glowed, not with gold, but with sickly green gold that flickered unstably. And his voice, when he spoke, carried multiple tones layered over each other. Little Kara, Zadu's voice came from the pilot's mouth, though Zadu himself was nowhere visible. Did you think I wouldn't know you'd come? The Tauri are so predictable. Send their soldiers to investigate. Bring the invader who caused all this to clean up her mess. Zadu. Kara stepped forward, putting herself between the puppet pilot and SG-1. Where are you? Everywhere. Nowhere. I've discovered something wonderful about prior abilities, they allow consciousness transfer. Possession without physical presence. Every being I've consumed. I can inhabit them remotely. This pilot. Those Jaffa I killed. All of them are me now. All of them extensions of my will. More death gliders crashed around the village perimeter. Pilots emerged, moving with coordinated precision despite their crashes. A dozen warriors, all speaking with Zadu's voice. You've made me so much more than I was, little Kara. In trying to stop me, you've given me access to a universe of power to claim. The Ori fear me now, their priors report an entity consuming their faithful. The Goa'uld whisper about a demon that devours symbiotes. And the Tauri? The puppets all smiled identically. They know they've harbored an invader who brought apocalypse. This ends now, Zadu. Kara's eyes began to glow red despite her weakened state. You want me? Here I am. Leave these people alone and face me directly. Oh, I don't want you, little girl. You're too morally constrained to be useful. But I do want what you represent, Earth's desperate hope. So here's my offer to your new friends. The puppets turned their weapons on the SG-1 team. Dozens of staff weapons and Zat guns, all aimed at targets who couldn't survive the concentrated fire. Surrender Supergirl to me. Let me absorb her Kryptonian power to complete my ascension. In exchange, I'll leave your worlds alone. I'll take my new abilities and depart this galaxy entirely. You'll never see me again. Colonel, do not, Kara started. Or, Zadu continued, refuse, and I will systematically hunt every world in the Gate network. Every Jaffa colony. Every Takare base. Every human settlement. I'll drain them dry, add their power to mine, and eventually I'll reach Earth itself. You've seen what I can do to a defended facility. Imagine what I'll do to your unprotected civilian populations. O'Neill's expression was unreadable. That's quite an offer. One alien we barely know in exchange for protecting billions. Math's pretty clear. Jack, Daniel protested. Shut up, Daniel. O'Neill kept his weapon trained on the puppets, but his eyes flicked to Kara. Here's my counteroffer, Zadu. Go to hell. We don't negotiate with terrorists. We don't sacrifice people to save ourselves. And we sure as hell don't trust promises from war criminals. Then you've chosen extinction. The puppets opened fire simultaneously. Staff weapon plasma converged on SG-1's position from every angle, a kill zone with no escape. Kara moved faster than thought despite her weakened state. She interposed herself between the team and the incoming fire, her body absorbing dozens of plasma bolts that would have killed them all. Each impact felt like sledgehammers of burning agony, her reduced invulnerability struggling against concentrated fire, but she held position. Fall back. She shouted to SG-1. Get to the gate. Supergirl, you can't, Carter started. Go. O'Neill made the tactical decision instantly. Move. Fighting retreat to the gate. The team laid down suppressing fire as they withdrew, their weapons barely slowing the puppets but buying precious seconds. Kara held the line, her body taking punishment that would kill a normal human 1,000 times over. Her suit was burning away. Her cape, Kal-El's gift, was scorched to tatters. And through it all, Zadu's laughter echoed from a dozen throats. This is what heroes do, little Kara. Suffer pointlessly. Die for primitives who will never accept you. Yes, she gasped, heat vision lancing out to disable 3 puppets whose weapons were recharged. Because that's what the House of El stands for. Protecting those who can't protect themselves. Even when it costs everything. Behind her, she heard the Stargate activating. SG-1 making their escape. She just had to hold for 30 more seconds. Give them time to dial Earth and get through. 20 seconds. The puppets advanced, weapons firing in coordinated volleys. Kara's knees buckled. Her invulnerability was failing under sustained assault. Blood, actual blood, the first she'd shed since arriving in this universe, ran from wounds that were healing too slowly. 10 seconds. Kara. Carter's voice. Gates open. Move. 5 seconds. Kara summoned everything she had left, every ounce of solar power in her depleted cells, and unleashed it in an omnidirectional blast of heat vision. The attack carved through the puppets, dropping them simultaneously as she severed Zadu's control. Then she flew, barely, stumbling through the air more than true flight, toward the Stargate. Behind her, more death gliders were screaming in for strafing runs. Zadu's voice promising death and consumption and the end of everything she tried to protect. Kara tumbled through the event horizon back to Earth and collapsed on the gate room ramp, smoking, bleeding, her borrowed tactical gear shredded. But alive. And so was SG-1. The iris slammed shut behind them, cutting off Zadu's pursuing fire. Medical team to the gate room. Landry's voice carried urgency. And someone tell me what the hell just happened. O'Neill helped Kara to her feet, or tried to, given that even weakened she was heavier than she looked. What happened, General, is that Supergirl just took enough firepower to level a building to save my team. I'd say that's what happened. Kara swayed, adrenaline fading, pain catching up. Did we get the intel? We got it. Carter was checking her scanner, comparing data. Zadu can possess beings he's consumed. He's hunting enhanced targets to increase his power. And he's systematically targeting our allies to isolate Earth before his final assault. Then we know what he's doing. Kara forced herself to stand unsupported despite every cell screaming. We know his pattern. We can predict his next move. We can, Landry agreed, watching her with new assessment. And apparently we can count on you to follow orders and protect this team, even at great personal cost. That's not what I expected from an invader. I'm not an invader anymore, General. Kara met his eyes despite the pain, despite the exhaustion. I'm SG-1. And we're going to stop Zadu before he hurts anyone else. Yes, O'Neill said, surprising everyone. Yes, we are. Carter's right. You've got potential. Raw as hell, but potential. Welcome to the team, Supergirl. For real this time. Kara felt something unknot in her chest. Provisional acceptance becoming something more. Trust earned through action, not words. She'd invaded this universe by accident. Brought catastrophe to Earth's doorstep. But maybe, just maybe, she could become the hero she'd claimed to be all along. If they could stop Zadu. If she could prove herself. If she survived what was coming. First things first, stop a Kryptonian war criminal from consuming the galaxy. Then worry about whether she'd ever stop being seen as the invader who brought him here. The infirmary at Stargate Command had treated everything from Goa'uld staff weapon burns to ancient gene activation side effects, but Dr. Fraser had never dealt with a patient whose cellular density made standard medical equipment functionally useless. The scanner kept giving error messages. The 4-needle bent against Kara's skin even when she consciously lowered her invulnerability. And the wounds, plasma burns that should have required skin grafts, were visibly healing as Fraser watched. Remarkable, the doctor muttered, documenting everything. Your cellular regeneration is accelerating. I'd estimate full recovery in 6 to 8 hours, assuming continued exposure to yellow sun radiation. It's faster when I'm not weakened by red sun exposure. Kara sat on the examination table, wearing medical scrubs while her shredded tactical gear was analyzed by Carter's science team. The House of El Crest had survived, somehow. Like hope itself was too stubborn to burn. How long before I'm mission ready? Medically? You could probably fight right now, though I'd strongly advise against it. Psychologically? Fraser's expression shifted from doctor to concerned human. Kara, you just took concentrated fire from multiple heavy weapons to protect people you barely know. That kind of trauma doesn't heal with solar radiation. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're running on adrenaline and guilt. Fraser pulled up a chair, sitting so they were at eye level. I've treated a lot of soldiers suffering from PTSD. I recognize the signs. You blame yourself for everything Zadu has done since arriving here. Because it is my fault. Kara's voice was quiet. I brought him through that gate. Every person he's killed, every colony he's destroyed, that's on me. Is it? You were chasing a criminal. You didn't know the dimensional rift would lead here. You couldn't have predicted he'd gain prior abilities or that the Stargate network would give him access to thousands of worlds. Fraser leaned forward. Kara, you made a mistake. A catastrophic one. But you're not responsible for his evil. He is. And you're doing everything you can to stop him. It's not enough. It never is. Not for people like us. Fraser smiled sadly. You think O'Neill doesn't carry guilt for every mission that goes wrong? That Carter doesn't blame herself when her technology fails? Daniel when diplomacy collapses? We all live with the weight of our failures. The difference is learning to function despite it. Before Kara could respond, alarms blared through the facility, not the emergency klaxons from enemy attack, but the urgent tone indicating priority incoming transmission. All senior staff to briefing room, Landry's voice came through speakers. We have a situation. Fraser sighed. You're cleared for duty. But Kara? When this is over, we're having a real conversation about psychological trauma. That's not optional. Yes, ma'am. The briefing room was crowded when Kara arrived. SG-1, General Landry, and holographic representations of their allies, Takare, Jaffa leadership, even an Asgard appearing as a gray humanoid with large black eyes. She recognized the species from SGC database images, the benevolent aliens who'd protected Earth. Commander Thor, Landry greeted the hologram. Thank you for responding so quickly. General Landry. Thor's voice was surprisingly deep for his small frame. The Asgard have been monitoring the situation with great concern. An entity with Kryptonian physiology, prior abilities, and access to the Gate network represents an unprecedented threat. We must coordinate our response. Agreed. A Takare representative, different from before, male this time with colonel's bearing, spoke with dual-toned authority. The Takare High Council has convened emergency session. Zadu has attacked 3 more of our operatives in the past 6 hours. Each time, he consumes them and gains their intelligence. He now possesses detailed knowledge of our entire network, our safe houses, our long-term strategic planning. The Free Jaffa have suffered similar losses, another voice added, Bratak, elderly warrior whose reputation Kara had absorbed from mission briefings. 12 colonies have reported attacks. Hundreds dead. And each attack, Zadu grows stronger, more coordinated. Landry pulled up a star map showing multiple gate addresses highlighted in red. In 24 hours, Zadu has hit 15 locations across 2 galaxies. The pattern suggests he's systematically targeting anyone with enhanced biology or advanced technology. Jaffa with symbiotes. Takare operatives. Even isolated Goa'uld who haven't declared allegiance to any system lord. He's building a database, Carter realized, pulling up her own analysis. Each being he consumes adds to his knowledge. Jaffa provide combat tactics and Goa'uld history. Takare give him intelligence networks and ancient technology expertise. He's creating a composite consciousness with thousands of years of accumulated knowledge. Plus prior abilities that grow stronger with each life consumed, Daniel added. The Ori gain power through worship. Zadu is doing something similar but more direct, consuming life force itself to fuel ascension. Thor's hologram flickered with what might have been concern. The Asgard have faced many threats, replicators, Goa'uld, even rogue ancients. But an entity that can adapt and evolve by consuming others, this is unique. And dangerous beyond calculation. So how do we stop him? O'Neill asked the question everyone was thinking. We've tried conventional weapons, barely slow him down. Red sun radiation needs sustained exposure we can't maintain in combat. And he can possess beings he's consumed, meaning he can be everywhere at once. We need to understand his limitations, Carter said. Kara, you know Kryptonian biology better than anyone. What can hurt him? What weaknesses can we exploit? All eyes turned to Kara. She felt the weight of expectation, judgment, and desperate hope. Red sun radiation works but requires time. Magic, true magic, not technology, bypasses Kryptonian invulnerability because it operates on different physical principles. But I don't know if this universe has real magic. She paused, thinking. Kryptonite would be fatal, but that only exists in my dimension. It's fragments of my homeworld transformed by the radiation of Krypton's explosion. So we need equivalent of kryptonite from his dimension, Daniel said. Fragments of the original Krypton, transformed by whatever destroyed it. Do we even know where that is? No. The dimensional rift closed after we came through. And even if we found it, Krypton exploded. There's nothing left but radioactive debris scattered across light years of space. Then we create our own kryptonite, Carter suggested. If we understand the mechanism, radioactive transformation of Kryptonian matter under specific conditions, we might be able to replicate it artificially. That would require samples of Kryptonian cellular material, Thor interjected. Miss Zor-El, would you consent to providing tissue samples for analysis? Kara hesitated. Giving them her biology felt like crossing a line. But what choice did she have? If it helps stop Zadu, yes. Whatever you need. There's another option, TLC said quietly. We kill the host bodies he possesses. If Zadu is inhabiting consumed beings remotely, destroying those vessels might limit his reach. That's genocide, Daniel protested. Those are innocent people he's possessing. Jaffa, Takare, humans, they didn't choose to be his puppets. They are already dead, Daniel Jackson. TLC's voice carried the weight of harsh experience. Zadu consumes their life force. What remains are empty shells animated by his will. We would not be killing innocents. We would be destroying weapons he wields. The brutal logic hung in the air. Kara wanted to argue, but she'd seen the desiccated bodies on Kalana. TLC was right, those people were gone. Only their corpses remained, piloted by a monster. There's a third option, Bratak's hologram spoke. We bait a trap. Zadu hunts enhanced targets. What if we offer him something irresistible? A target so valuable he cannot ignore, in a location where we control the environment. You're suggesting we use Supergirl as bait, O'Neill said flatly. I am suggesting we use our assets strategically. Miss Zor-El is Kryptonian. Zadu desires Kryptonian power to complete his ascension. Offer her in a controlled environment where we've prepared red sun radiation, ancient containment technology, and whatever weapons the Asgard can provide. When he takes the bait, we trap him. Absolutely not, O'Neill's voice was hard. We're not dangling our people as bait for. I'll do it, Kara interrupted. Bratak's right. Zadu wants me. My power. If we can use that to lure him somewhere we have advantage, it's our best shot. Kara, Carter started. No, she's right. Landry's tactical mind was already planning. We've been reactive since this started. Responding to his attacks, trying to contain damage. It's time to take the initiative. Set the battlefield on our terms. Where would we stage this trap? Thor asked. It must be isolated enough to prevent civilian casualties but accessible through the Stargate network. And it must contain technology sufficient to contain a being of Zadu's power. I know a place, Daniel said slowly. P3X888. The planet where Soker, a Goa'uld system lord, created his version of hell. It's a moon with harsh environment, active volcanic activity, and Goa'uld technology designed specifically to torture and contain prisoners. We destroyed Soker's facility, but the infrastructure remains. A literal hell dimension, O'Neill said. Perfect vacation spot. I'm sold. Carter was already pulling up data. P3X888 is tectonically unstable with extreme temperatures. The atmosphere is barely breathable and filled with toxic gases. Soker chose it specifically because it's naturally hostile to life. If we can modify the remaining Goa'uld technology, install red sun emitters, and prep ancient containment fields, we create a prison specifically designed for Kryptonian biology, Thor completed. The Asgard can provide technical assistance. Our understanding of dimensional physics may allow us to create a containment field Zadu cannot phase through. How long to set up? Landry asked. 48 hours minimum, Carter estimated. We need to transport equipment through the gate, modify existing Goa'uld technology, calibrate red sun emitters, and test ancient containment fields. And that's assuming everything works first try, which it never does. We may not have 48 hours, the Takare representative warned. Zadu's attacks are escalating. Each successful consumption makes him stronger and more coordinated. If he reaches critical mass before we spring the trap, then we work fast, O'Neill decided. Carter, you're heading engineering. Take whoever you need from the science division. Thor, coordinate with Asgard High Command, we need their best containment technology. TLC, work with Bratak on Jaffa support. We'll need warriors willing to defend the site while we set up. And me? Kara asked. You're the bait. Which means you train. O'Neill fixed her with a look. You've got power, Supergirl. But you fight like a brawler. Zadu is a trained Kryptonian warrior with centuries of combat experience. If we're putting you in a cage with him, you need to be ready. Daniel, find someone to train her. Someone good. I know just the person, Daniel said with a slight smile. 2 hours later, Kara stood in a reinforced training room designed for testing Goa'uld technology. Across from her stood TLC, unarmed but radiating the kind of calm that came from decades of combat mastery. You fight with power, TLC observed. You rely on invulnerability to absorb attacks, then counter with overwhelming force. This is effective against weaker opponents. Against Zadu, it will fail. Then teach me something better. I cannot teach you to be stronger. You already possess greater physical power than any being I have encountered. But I can teach you to be more than strength. TLC moved into a ready stance. Jaffa combat philosophy emphasizes economy of motion. Use your opponent's strength against them. Create openings through misdirection. Strike where they are weak, not where they are strong. You're saying I should fight smarter. I am saying you should fight like a warrior, not a hammer. TLC gestured. Attack me. Full speed, full strength. Do not hold back out of concern for my safety. I am enhanced by my symbiote and will survive. Kara moved, her reduced speed still faster than human perception. She threw a punch that would have cratered concrete. TLC wasn't there. He'd shifted fractionally, redirecting her momentum so she stumbled past him. Before she could recover, he had one hand on her wrist, using her own speed to throw her into the padded wall. You telegraph your attacks, TLC explained as Kara stood, surprised. Your body shifts before your strike. An observant opponent sees this and counters. Again. They trained for 2 hours. TLC demonstrated economy of motion, tactical positioning, reading opponents' patterns. He couldn't hurt her, even weakened, she was too durable, but he could control the fight through superior technique. Zadu has both power and skill, TLC said as they concluded. To defeat him, you must combine your strength with strategy. Make him react to you rather than reacting to him. Create situations where his power works against him. Like the sarcophagus explosion, Kara realized. I used Goa'uld technology against him because I couldn't match him directly. Indeed. You must think of the environment as weapon. Use everything available, technology, terrain, enemy psychology. This is how humans defeat gods. Not through equal power, but through superior strategy. Kara bowed respectfully, she'd learned Jaffa customs from mission briefings. Thank you, TLC. For training me. And for not giving up on the invader. You are no longer an invader, Kara Zor-El. You are Goa'uld, warrior who has proven themselves in battle. This is earned through action, not birthright. You have earned it. The words meant more than Kara could express. She'd gone from catastrophic mistake to provisional ally to respected warrior in less than a week. It felt fragile, conditional, but real. Now she just had to survive being bait in a trap designed for a monster. SG-1, report to briefing room, Landry's voice came through speakers. We have an update on Zada's location. The team assembled quickly. On the screen, footage showed a familiar facility, an ancient outpost, its white architecture and glowing blue technology unmistakable. This is P9C-882, an ancient outpost we've been studying for the past 6 months, Carter explained. 3 hours ago, Zadu attacked. He killed the research team, 5 scientists and 2 SG escorts, and accessed the ancient database. What was in that database? Daniel asked with dread. Everything. Carter's expression was grim. Gate addresses for the entire network. Ancient technology schematics. Information about the Ancients' ascension process. And worst of all, the location of Atlantis. Silence crashed over the briefing room. He knows where Atlantis is, O'Neill said quietly. A city full of ancient technology, ZPMs, and the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. And populated by an entire expedition of humans plus the Atlantis team, Landry added. If Zadu reaches Atlantis, he'll have access to everything he needs to become unstoppable. How long until he can dial Atlantis? Kara asked. Atlantis is in the Pegasus Galaxy, Carter explained. Dialing there requires an 8-chevron address and massive power, usually a ZPM. But if Zadu absorbed enough prior abilities, he might be able to channel that power himself. I'd estimate 24 hours before he figures out how to make the connection. Then we don't have 48 hours to set the trap, O'Neill said. We have maybe 12 before he starts moving on Atlantis. Carter, accelerate the timeline. Whatever shortcuts you need to take, take them. Thor, we need Asgard assistance yesterday. And Supergirl, he looked at Kara, hope you're a fast learner, because class is over. We spring the trap tonight. Kara stood, feeling the weight of what was coming. In 12 hours, she'd be bait in a trap on a hell moon, facing a monster she'd accidentally unleashed, with the fate of another galaxy hanging in the balance. No pressure. I'm ready, she said, hoping it was true. Good, Landry replied. Because ready or not, we're out of time. Zadu makes his move tonight. And so do we. P3X888 was exactly as hellish as its reputation suggested. The Stargate sat on a plateau overlooking rivers of molten rock, toxic gases rising in yellow-green clouds that turned the sky a sickly amber. The air was hot enough to sear human lungs. SG teams wore respirators and heat-resistant gear just to function. The landscape was all jagged volcanic rock and sulfurous vents, and in the distance, the ruins of Soker's torture facility loomed like a monument to suffering. Kara stood at the plateau's edge, cape billowing in superheated wind, watching Carter's engineering teams install the last of the red sun emitters. The devices ringed the plateau like pillars, each one projecting that familiar draining radiation. Already she could feel her power diminishing, her cells struggling to process the toxic wavelengths. Final systems check, Carter's voice came through calm, red sun emitters at full power. Ancient containment field generators positioned at cardinal points. Asgard dimensional locks calibrated to prevent phase shifting. And just for insurance, we've rigged the entire plateau with Naquata explosives. If containment fails, we can trigger a localized explosion that'll atomize everything within 100 meters. Including Supergirl, O'Neill observed from his tactical position behind a reinforced barrier. Seems a bit harsh. She insisted on the failsafe, Carter replied. Said if Zadu breaks free with her absorbed, we'd have 2 unstoppable Kryptonians. Better to eliminate both than risk that. Kara had indeed insisted. If this went wrong, if Zadu consumed her and gained full Kryptonian power on top of everything else he'd stolen, Earth wouldn't survive. Neither would Atlantis. Neither would any world in the Gate network. Better she die here than let that happen. How's our bait holding up? O'Neill asked, approaching Kara's position. Terrified, she admitted. Trying not to show it. Good. Means you're smart enough to understand the stakes. O'Neill checked his P90, the familiar ritual of a soldier preparing for combat. You know, when you first crashed through our gate, I thought you were just another powerful alien we'd have to kill or contain. Seen a lot of those over the years. But you've surprised me, Supergirl. You actually give a damn about the people you put at risk. Of course I do. They're people. You'd be amazed how many powerful beings don't see it that way. Goa'uld view humans as hosts or slaves. Ori see us as fuel for their ascension. Even some of our allies, he gestured at the Takare hologram hovering near Carter's station, sometimes treat humans as assets rather than people. You're different. You see us as worth protecting even when we can't protect ourselves. That's what heroes do. Yeah. It is. O'Neill's expression turned serious. Listen, when Zadu shows up, the plan is you keep him occupied while we activate the containment field. That means taking hits. A lot of hits. He's going to hurt you worse than anything you've experienced. And you need to stay in the fight long enough for our tech to work. Can you do that? Kara thought about the staff weapon fire on Kalana. The plasma burns that had actually hurt. The exhaustion and pain that came with being vulnerable. I can do it. Didn't ask if you'd do it. Asked if you can. There's a difference. If you break under pressure, if you run, the whole plan collapses and Zadu reaches Atlantis. So I need to know, can you take the punishment and keep fighting? Kara met his eyes, understanding what he was really asking. Could he trust her? Trust that the invader turned ally wouldn't flee when things got desperate? Colonel O'Neill, I brought Zadu to this universe. Every person he's killed is my responsibility. I'm not running. Not from him, not from the consequences, not from what needs to be done. You can trust me. O'Neill studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Okay. I believe you. Don't make me regret it. Movement on sensors. Carter's urgent voice cut through the calm. We've got incoming. Multiple energy signatures, all bearing Zadu's unique power profile. He's not coming alone, he's bringing his puppets. Through the toxic haze, shapes materialized. Death gliders streaking through the amber sky. Ground forces moving across volcanic rock, Jaffa warriors with jerky, unnatural movements, their eyes glowing with that sickly green gold. And in the center, walking with predatory confidence, was Zadu himself. He'd changed. Absorbed prior abilities manifested as golden energy wreathing his body. His gray Kryptonian skin now carried circuit-like patterns of glowing power. And his eyes, solid black before, now burned with stolen life force. Little Kara. His voice boomed across the plateau, carried by prior enhancement. You've prepared a welcome. How thoughtful. Zadu. Kara floated forward, positioning herself at the plateau's center where all the containment technology converged. This ends tonight. No more running. No more consuming innocence. You face me directly or you prove you're the coward Krypton imprisoned. Coward? Zadu laughed, the sound like grinding metal. I've consumed hundreds of beings. Each one adds to my power, my knowledge, my capacity for transcendence. You've brought me exactly what I needed, little girl, a controlled environment where I can absorb you without interruption. Did you really think your primitive traps would hold me? He gestured, and the puppet Jaffa opened fire. Staff weapon plasma converged on the ancient containment generators. The devices held for 3 seconds before overloading, sparking and dying. Ancient technology, Zadu sneered. I've absorbed the knowledge of Takare who studied it for centuries. I know every weakness, every failure point. Did you think I wouldn't recognize a trap? Plan A's shot, O'Neill muttered over calm. Carter, activate Plan B. There is no Plan B, sir. Then make one up. We're kind of improvising here. The puppet death gliders strafed the plateau, targeting the red sun emitters. One by one, the devices exploded under sustained plasma fire. Kara felt her power returning as the draining radiation cut off, her cells immediately beginning to recharge under the toxic amber sun that, while not Earth's yellow, was still energizing. Your red sun trap is gone, Zadu continued his approach, puppets surrounding him in protective formation. Your ancient containment has failed. What's left? Conventional weapons. Asgard technology. He looked directly at where Thor's hologram had been observing. Yes, I can see your dimensional projection, Commander Thor. I've absorbed beings who understood Asgard physics. You have nothing that can hold me. Perhaps, Thor's voice remained calm despite the situation's deterioration. But we did not bring you here to trap you with technology alone. We brought you here because this location offers unique advantages. At Thor's signal, the plateau beneath Zadu erupted. It wasn't Naquata explosives, those were fail-safe, last resort. This was different. Volcanic vents that Carter's team had carefully positioned and primed, all detonating simultaneously. Molten rock geysered upward, engulfing Zadu and his puppets in temperatures exceeding 3,000 degrees Celsius. The volcanic activity on P3X888 is highly unstable, Carter explained over comm, watching her monitors. We mapped the magma flows and positioned charges to trigger controlled eruptions. Even Kryptonian invulnerability has limits. Sustained exposure to molten rock should. Zadu walked through the lava. His prior abilities manifested as a shield that diverted the molten rock around him. The puppet Jaffa burned, their borrowed bodies unable to withstand the heat, but Zadu himself was untouched. He stepped onto solid ground and smiled. Creative. I'll grant you that. But you forget, I have prior powers now. The Ori's faithful can walk through fire unharmed. So can I. He looked at Kara with something like pity. You're outmatched, little girl. Outthought. Outpowered. This trap was doomed from conception. But I'll give you credit, you made the attempt. He moved with Kryptonian speed, crossing the distance before Kara could react. His fist caught her in the solar plexus with force that drove the air from her lungs. She flew backward, crashing through volcanic rock, and before she could recover he was on her again. I've fought beings enhanced by symbiotes, Zadu said conversationally as he rained blows that Kara barely blocked. Absorbed warriors who trained for decades. Added their combat experience to my own. You're a child playing hero. Untrained. Undisciplined. Powered by hope and good intentions. He caught her arm and twisted, leveraging Kryptonian strength with Jaffa martial technique. Kara felt her shoulder dislocate before her enhanced healing snapped it back. The pain was extraordinary. Hope, Zadu continued, heat vision lancing from his eyes to carve burning lines across her chest, is not a strategy. Good intentions are not armor. And power without the will to use it fatally is weakness. Kara struggled to her feet, blood, actual blood, running from wounds that were healing too slowly under assault. Then why haven't you absorbed me yet? If I'm so weak, what are you waiting for? Zadu paused, and for the first time, uncertainty crossed his expression. Because you're bait. This is still a trap. And I haven't identified all the components. Smart, O'Neill's voice boomed across the plateau from hidden speakers. You're right. The containment tech was a feint. The lava was misdirection. But here's the thing about traps, Zadu, the best ones use the target's own assumptions against them. You assumed we were trying to trap you. We weren't. TLC appeared from behind volcanic rock, staff cannon charged. We were drawing you into position. Keeping you stationary long enough to activate the true weapon. We studied your absorption ability, Carter's voice added. You consume beings by draining their life force. But that's a two-way connection. You open yourself to them, even briefly, to take their power. Which means, Daniel chimed in, you're vulnerable during absorption. For just a moment, your defenses drop and you're fully connected to your target. Zadu's eyes widened with realization a fraction of a second too late. Kara lunged forward, not to strike but to grab him. Her arms locked around his torso in a grip that combined Kryptonian strength with desperate determination. Now. Thor's hologram brightened. Activating Asgard neural interface technology. Establishing connection through physical contact. Energy, blue-white Asgard technology, flowed through Kara's body into Zadu's. The criminal screamed, trying to break free, but Kara held on with everything she had. What are you doing? Giving you exactly what you wanted, Kara gasped, feeling the connection establish. Access to Kryptonian power. But it's a two-way street. If you can absorb me, I can absorb you. The Asgard technology created a feedback loop. Zadu's stolen powers, prior abilities, Jaffa combat knowledge, Talk-Ra intelligence, began flowing backward through the connection. Not into Kara, but into the Asgard computers Thor had hidden beneath the plateau. You're downloading him, Daniel realized with awe. Copying his stolen knowledge before he can finish absorbing Kara. Precisely, Thor confirmed. The neural interface allows bidirectional information transfer. While Zadu attempts to consume Miss Zor-El, we are extracting the intelligence he stole from hundreds of beings. Strategic information. Talk-RA networks. Goa'uld secrets. All of it flowing into Asgard databases. Zadu thrashed, his prior abilities flaring as he tried to break the connection. But Kara held on, even as she felt him beginning to drain her life force. The absorption worked both ways, he was taking her power while she facilitated the data extraction. How long can she hold him? O'Neill demanded. Unknown, Thor replied. The strain on her biology is immense. If Zadu completes absorption before we finish the data extraction, then I die and he becomes unstoppable, Kara finished, feeling her strength fading. How long do you need? 90 seconds at current transfer rates. 90 seconds. An eternity when every moment brought her closer to death. She could feel Zadu pulling at her essence, her cells, her very life force. Her vision was dimming. Her healing factor was failing. She was dying. 60 seconds remaining, Thor announced. Kara's grip was weakening. Zadu was stronger now, fueled by the power he'd drained from her. He almost broke free, but TLC was there, adding his strength to hold the monster in place. I have you, Kara Zor-El, the Jaffa warrior said calmly. We finish this together. 30 seconds. O'Neill joined them, using a Goa'uld ribbon device to channel telekinetic force, pinning Zadu's arms. Carter activated every remaining piece of technology, staff cannons, Zat guns, anything that might slow him down. 15 seconds. Kara was barely conscious. She could feel her Kryptonian cells failing, her enhanced biology shutting down. This was death. Real death. No last-second save. No miraculous recovery. Just the slow fade as a monster consumed her from within. But she was holding him. Long enough for the data extraction. Long enough for Earth to gain the intelligence that might stop future threats. Long enough for her catastrophic mistake to become something meaningful. 10 seconds. I'm sorry, Kal-El, she thought, feeling consciousness slip. I tried to be the hero you trained me to be. I hope that's enough. 5 seconds. Data extraction complete, Thor announced. Terminating connection now. The Asgard technology disengaged with a flash of white light. Kara collapsed, released from the draining connection. Zadu staggered backward, his stolen knowledge partially extracted, his power diminished but far from defeated. You dare, he snarled, advancing on Kara's prone form. O'Neill was faster. Plan C, Carter, now. The plateau exploded. Every Naquadah charge they'd planted detonated simultaneously, creating a blast powerful enough to crack the plateau itself. Magma erupted from below. The volcanic moon's unstable geology, already weakened by their earlier eruptions, gave way completely. Zadu was caught in the center as the ground collapsed beneath him, dropping into a molten fissure that went down for miles. His screams, layered with the voices of hundreds he'd consumed, echoed until the magma swallowed him. Did we get him? Daniel asked through the settling ash and debris. Uncertain, Thor replied. Kryptonian biology can survive extreme conditions. If he reached sufficient depth before the magma hardened, then he's trapped but alive, Carter finished. Miles underground, in solidified rock, too deep to dig out before his air runs out. Good enough, O'Neill said. He keyed his radio. Medical team, we need immediate evac for Supergirl. She's critical. Kara barely heard them. She was lying on scorched rock, her suit destroyed, her body failing from the partial absorption. But she'd held on. Long enough. The mission was complete. Maybe now she could stop being the invader who brought catastrophe. Maybe now she'd earned the right to be the hero she'd claimed to be all along. "Stay with us, Supergirl," O'Neill's voice was gentle as he knelt beside her. "You did good. Real good. Now you get to live with that." Living sounded nice, Kara thought as darkness claimed her. Being more than the mistake that destroyed Earth's security. Being the warrior who helped stop the monster. Being, finally, the hero. Kara woke to sunlight, real sunlight, Earth's yellow sun streaming through a window in the SGC infirmary. Her cells drank in the radiation hungrily, healing wounds that should have killed her. Dr. Fraser sat beside the bed, monitoring equipment that finally showed readings approaching Kryptonian normal. "Welcome back," Fraser said with genuine warmth. "You've been unconscious for 36 hours. Your biology shut down to prevent complete cellular collapse. If you'd held that connection 10 more seconds, Zadu would have consumed you completely." Kara tried to speak, found her throat raw. Fraser offered water, which she accepted gratefully. "Zadu," she managed. "Trapped. Miles underground in solidified volcanic rock on P3X888. We've stationed SG teams to monitor seismic activity in case he digs out, but at the depth he fell, even Kryptonian strength would take years to burrow through. By then, lack of oxygen and red sun radiation from the planet's core should weaken him enough for permanent containment. Should. Not will." Fraser's expression turned serious. "Kara, we're dealing with an entity that absorbed prior abilities and hundreds of beings' knowledge. Should is the best we can offer. But Thor believes the probability of escape is less than 2%. Those are good odds in our line of work." Kara closed her eyes, feeling the weight lift fractionally. Not dead. Not free. But contained. Earth was safe. Atlantis was safe. The gate network was safe. "The data extraction," she asked. "Did it work?" "Better than we hoped. Thor's Asgard technology downloaded terabytes of intelligence, TalkRA operational details, Goa'uld strategic planning, free Jaffa resistance networks, even information about Ori tactics the priors possessed. It's an intelligence windfall that will help Earth's defense for years." "Good." Kara forced herself to sit up despite her body's protests. "Then something positive came from my catastrophic mistake." "You keep calling it that. Your mistake." Fraser leaned forward. "Kara, you pursued a criminal through a dimensional tear. You couldn't have known where it led. Everything that followed, Zada's rampage, the attacks on our allies, the threat to Atlantis, those were his choices, not yours. You're not responsible for his evil. But I am responsible for bringing him here. For the 6 people injured when I crashed through your gate. For the Jaffa he killed on Kalana. For stopping him." A new voice interrupted. General Landry entered, followed by SG-1 and a holographic representation of Commander Thor. "For holding him despite knowing it would kill you. For giving us the intelligence advantage we desperately needed. Miss Zor-El, you've spent a week flagellating yourself for the invasion. It's time to focus on the redemption." "Redemption," Kara repeated carefully. "Sir, I still destroyed your iris, wrecked your gate room. And saved my flagship team on Kalana," Landry countered. "And served as bait in a trap that contained an existential threat. And sacrificed yourself for data extraction that will protect thousands of worlds. The balance sheet is evening out." O'Neill stepped forward, carrying something wrapped in cloth. "We, had the science team work on this. Figured you'd want it back." He unwrapped the bundle, revealing Kara's suit, or rather, a reconstructed version. The red and blue fabric was intact, cleaned and repaired. And on the chest, the House of El crest shone bright and unblemished. "We used Asgard molecular reconstruction technology," Carter explained. "The original was mostly destroyed, but we had enough intact material to rebuild it. Should be more durable now. We integrated some Goa'uld armor weaving into the fabric structure." Won't make you more invulnerable, but it'll survive staff weapon fire better than standard cloth. Kara took the suit with trembling hands, feeling the weight of the symbol. Hope. The crest her cousin wore. The legacy of the House of El. She'd nearly lost it in the lava and explosions. That they'd saved it, reconstructed it, given it back. Thank you, she whispered. All of you. For not giving up on the invader. You're not an invader anymore, Daniel said firmly. You're SG-1. Provisional status just got upgraded to permanent team member. Assuming you want the position. The IOA still has concerns, Landry admitted. And there will be oversight. Regular check-ins with TalkRA Medical to ensure your biology remains stable. Mandatory tactical training with TLC. Psychological counseling with Dr. Fraser. You'll be the most scrutinized member of the Stargate program. But you'll also be one of our most valuable assets, Thor added. The Asgard High Council has reviewed your actions. We concur with General Landry's assessment, you have proven yourself worthy of trust. The Asgard would support Earth's decision to integrate you fully into the Stargate program. Kara looked around at the faces, human and holographic, that had gone from viewing her as threat to accepting her as ally. It wasn't unconditional. It wasn't without strings. But it was real. I accept. Whatever oversight you need, whatever training is required, whatever restrictions you place, I accept. I want to be part of this. To protect people through the gate instead of endangering them. Good, O'Neill said. Because we've got a situation brewing in the Pegasus galaxy. Some kind of Wraith Hive ship acting strange. Atlantis requested SG-1 support, and since you've already proven you can handle space combat against overwhelming odds. He grinned. Congrats on your first official mission, Supergirl. Hope you like telepathic space vampires. Wraith? Kara looked confused. Human-insect hybrids that feed on life force, Daniel explained helpfully. They've been culling the Pegasus galaxy for 10,000 years. Think of them as what Zadu could have become if he'd had millennia to refine the process and a whole galaxy to harvest. That's horrifying. Yeah, welcome to the Stargate program. Where the threats are cosmic and the odds are terrible. O'Neill clapped her shoulder. You'll fit right in. As SG-1 filed out to give her time to recover, Thor's hologram remained. The Asgard commander studied her with those large black eyes that saw far more than humans ever could. Miss Zor-El, I wish to address something the others have not. You asked earlier if the data extraction worked. What you should understand is that without your sacrifice, Earth would have faced threats unprepared. The TalkRA intelligence alone will save thousands of lives. You have given us advantages against our enemies that we could not have achieved otherwise. At the cost of nearly being consumed by a monster I brought here. Yes. And that balance, cost versus benefit, sacrifice versus outcome, is the calculus of war. You made the warrior's choice. To risk everything for strategic advantage. That is why the Asgard respect you. Not because you are powerful, but because you used that power wisely when the moment demanded it. Thor's hologram began to fade. Rest, Kara Zor-El, heal. And when you are ready, join your team. The galaxy needs heroes who understand that power must be balanced with responsibility. You have proven you possess both. Alone in the infirmary, Kara held her reconstructed suit and felt something she hadn't experienced since crashing through Earth's Stargate, hope. Not just the symbol on her chest, but actual hope that she could be more than the catastrophe she'd caused. She'd invaded this universe by accident. Brought a monster to Earth's doorstep. Destroyed their security and endangered their alliances. But she'd also fought alongside them. Sacrificed for them. Earned their provisional trust through actions, not words. Maybe that was enough. Maybe redemption wasn't erasing the mistakes but learning from them and doing better. The door opened again, Dr. Fraser with medication and concern. You should rest. Your cellular integrity is still rebuilding. I know. But I need to ask something. The people injured when I crashed through the gate. The 6 personnel. Can I see them? Apologize in person. Fraser smiled. They've been asking about you. Sergeant Harriman especially. You saved his life when you threw yourself between SG-1 and that staff weapon fire on Kalana. He wanted to thank you. Thank me? I gave him a concussion. And then you took fire that would have killed him. That's how soldiers think, Kara. Mistakes are measured against what you do after. And what you did after was become a hero. Over the next few days, Kara visited each injured person. Sergeant Harriman, who indeed thanked her instead of blaming her. The technicians who'd been caught in the Iris explosion, who were more interested in her Kryptonian biology than holding grudges. The security personnel who'd zapped her into unconsciousness, who now trained with her in preparation for future missions. She attended briefings on Wraith biology. Studied Atlantis schematics. Learned about the Pegasus galaxy and its unique threats. And through it all, she felt the provisional status solidifying into something permanent. 1 week after the trap on P3X888, Kara stood in the gate room wearing her reconstructed suit, cape flowing behind her, House of El crest gleaming. SG-1 surrounded her in full tactical gear. The Stargate was activating, chevrons locking for Atlantis. You ready for this? O'Neill asked, checking his P-91 last time. To face telepathic space vampires in another galaxy while representing Earth's interests and trying not to cause a diplomatic incident. Kara smiled. Honestly? Terrified. But I'm ready. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Overconfidence gets you killed. O'Neill's expression softened. For what it's worth, Supergirl, you've earned this. The uniform, the position, the trust. Don't waste it. I won't. Then let's go save Atlantis from whatever fresh hell they've stumbled into this week. The wormhole established. Blue infinity beckoned. Kara took a breath and stepped through with her team, not as an invader, not as a catastrophe, but as a member of SG-1. The transition was becoming familiar now. Molecular dissolution, faster-than-light travel, reconstruction thousands of light-years away. She emerged in Atlantis's gate room, a soaring space of ancient architecture, gleaming metal and crystal, overlooking an alien ocean. SG-1, welcome to Atlantis. A man with military bearing and easy charm approached, Lieutenant Colonel John Shepard, Kara recognized from briefings. And you must be Supergirl. Heard you had quite the introduction to the program. Destroyed Earth's Iris, brought a super criminal through the gate, nearly got consumed by said criminal, then stopped him anyway. That about sum it up. Pretty much, Kara admitted. Cool. You'll fit right in here. We blow up ancient technology on a weekly basis. Shepard grinned. Come on, McKay's having a meltdown about the Wraith Hive ship's unusual behavior. Something about quantum fluctuations and subspace harmonics. I stopped listening after the first hour of complaints. As they walked through Atlantis's halls, white corridors with blue lighting, everything elegant and impossibly advanced, Kara felt the last remnants of self-doubt begin to fade. She'd made catastrophic mistakes. She'd invaded a universe unprepared. She'd brought threats Earth didn't need. But she'd also fought for them. Sacrificed for them. Earned her place among warriors who understood that redemption came through action, not apology. The House of El crest on her chest represented hope. And for the first time since crashing through that gate, Kara Zor-El believed she might actually deserve to wear it. Hey, Supergirl, O'Neill called from ahead. Keep up. We've got space vampires to investigate in approximately 0 time before McKay has an aneurysm. Coming, Colonel. She'd invaded the Stargate universe by accident. But she was staying by choice. And this time, she'd do it right. Atlantis's conference room overlooked an ocean that stretched to an alien horizon, turquoise water beneath twin moons visible even in daylight. But the view couldn't distract from the holographic display dominating the table, showing a Wraith Hive ship that was, according to Dr. Rodney McKay, behaving in ways that fundamentally violate everything we know about Wraith technology and biology. Define behaving wrong, O'Neill requested, studying the scan data. McKay, a man whose genius was matched only by his ability to be condescending about it, pulled up detailed readings. Wraith Hive ships are biomechanical. Part organic, part technology, all nightmare fuel. They operate on predictable patterns, hunt human populations, cull them for feeding, return to dormancy. This one. He gestured at the anomalous readings. It's not hunting. It's not culling. It's sitting in high orbit above an uninhabited moon broadcasting a signal we can't decode. Could be a trap, Shepard suggested. Wraith aren't exactly known for their subtlety, but they can be strategic when they want to be. That was my first thought, Dr. Elizabeth Weir, Atlantis expedition leader, said from the head of the table. But the signal has been broadcasting for 72 hours. No aggressive moves. No attempts to hail Atlantis. Just, sitting there. Waiting. Waiting for what? Carter asked, her scientific curiosity clearly engaged. Unknown. But here's where it gets interesting. McKay pulled up spectral analysis. The signal contains quantum harmonics that match the dimensional frequencies we detected during the incident at Earth's Stargate last week. When Supergirl and her criminal crashed through. Every eye turned to Kara. She felt her stomach drop. You're saying the Wraith are connected to Zadu somehow? Daniel's archaeologist instincts were already making connections. But how? The Wraith are native to Pegasus Galaxy. They've been here for 10,000 years. They shouldn't have any connection to dimensional travelers from another universe. They shouldn't, McKay agreed. But quantum harmonics don't lie. That Hive ship is either responding to residual dimensional energy from the breach, or, he paused dramatically, something that came through that breach is now on that ship. Zadu. Kara's voice was quiet but certain. He escaped. Somehow he got out of the volcanic trap and found a way to Pegasus. That's impossible, Carter protested. We had seismic monitors on P3X888. No activity suggesting he dug out. And even if he did, he'd need a ZPM or equivalent power source to dial an 8 chevron address to Pegasus. We accounted for every power source he could access. You accounted for known power sources, TLC observed. Zadu absorbed prior abilities. The Ori channel power from their worshippers across dimensional boundaries. If he learned that technique before we trapped him, he could have drawn power from somewhere else. We're finished, her expression grave. From Ori faithful in another galaxy, or from the beings he'd already consumed. Enough to dial Pegasus. But why? Shepard leaned forward. If he escaped, why not attack Earth directly? Why come here? Because Earth is prepared for him now, Kara said, the tactical thinking TLC had trained into her engaging. We extracted his stolen intelligence. Thor has Asgard defensive technology monitoring the gate. And I'm at Earth, which means he'd face another confrontation with Kryptonian power. But Pegasus? New galaxy. New threats to absorb. And the Wraith are perfect hosts for his possession ability, McKay completed. Wraith feed on life force. They're already predatory life-draining entities. If Zadu figured out how to possess them, merge his abilities with theirs, we'd have an army of Kryptonian-powered Wraith, O'Neill said flatly. That's officially the worst thing I've heard this month. And we fought reanimated Goa'uld 2 weeks ago, so the bar was already pretty low. We need to investigate that Hive ship, we decided. Determine if Zadu is actually there or if this is coincidental dimensional resonance. Colonel Shepard, prepare a jumper for reconnaissance. SG-1 will accompany you. And me, Kara added. If Zadu is on that ship, you'll need someone who can match his strength. Agreed, we're said. But Kara, if he has possessed Wraith, you're walking into a situation where every enemy potentially has your power levels. Can you handle that? Kara thought about P3X888. About holding Zadu while he drained her life force. About the sacrifice that had nearly killed her but saved thousands. I can handle it. That's why I'm here. The Puddle Jumper, ancient spacecraft that looked like elongated pods, flew through Pegasus space with Kryptonian passenger experiencing her first intergalactic flight in a ship. Shepard piloted with practiced ease, the heads-up display responding to his ancient gene activation. So, Shepard said conversationally as they approached the Wraith Hive ship, "You're from another dimension where you're a superhero, you accidentally invaded our universe chasing a bad guy, destroyed our security, brought said bad guy to our doorstep, then saved us all by almost dying. That about right?" "That's reductive but accurate," Kara admitted from the jumper's passenger area. "Cool. Just wanted to make sure I had the timeline straight." Shepard's easy humor was clearly his way of dealing with cosmic-scale threats. "For what it's worth, we've all made catastrophic mistakes here in Atlantis. McKay accidentally collapsed 3/4 of the city into the ocean once. I woke up a bunch of Wraith early by accident. Kayla's people got cold because we showed up. Mistakes are kind of our thing." "That's oddly comforting," Kara said. "It should be. Means you're in good company." Shepard adjusted their approach vector. Hive ship coming into visual range. And oh boy, that's not normal. The Wraith Hive ship was massive, kilometers long, all organic curves and biomechanical horror. But it was also damaged. Massive tears in the hull leaked atmosphere. Portions of the ship were dark, systems clearly offline. And most disturbing, bodies floated in the vacuum around it, Wraith drones, their corpses desiccated like the Jaffa on Kalana. "He's been here," Kara confirmed, her X-ray vision scanning through the hull. "I can see, oh no. There are survivors. Wraith still alive, but they're moving wrong. Like puppets." "Zadu's possession," TLC said grimly. "He has claimed this vessel. We need a sample," McKay insisted, his scanner working frantically. "If we can determine how he's interfacing with Wraith biology, we might find a weakness. Something we can exploit. Or we could just blow up the whole ship and call it a day," O'Neill suggested. "I'm fond of the blow-it-up option. Very clean. Very permanent." "Sir, if Zadu has learned to possess Wraith, destroying this ship won't stop him," Carter pointed out. "He could jump to another Wraith, another Hive. We need to understand the mechanism before we can counter it." "Fine. But I'm noting my objection for the record." O'Neill checked his P90. "Shepard, get us inside. Somewhere we can dock without getting swarmed by space vampires. There's a damaged section amidships. Hull breach should let us enter without triggering internal defenses. Assuming internal defenses are still operational, which given the damage." Shepard maneuvered the jumper with precision, sliding through the tear in the Hive ship's organic hull. They docked in what looked like a feeding chamber, biomechanical walls pulsing weakly, cocoon-like structures hanging from the ceiling, and everywhere the evidence of violence. Wraith drones lay dead, their feeding hands retracted, their faces twisted in final agony. "You can only delay the inevitable." "He's bluffing," McKay insisted, though his voice carried uncertainty. "The Wraith Hive mind is biological. Quantum entanglement through their DNA. He shouldn't be able to." "Shouldn't. Couldn't. Impossible." Zadu's mockery was vicious. "How many times must I demonstrate that your limitations don't apply to me before you accept it? I am beyond your understanding. Beyond your weapons. Beyond your desperate hopes." The possessed Wraith attacked in perfect coordination. Kara met them head-on, her fists connecting with enhanced enemies for the first time since facing Zadu directly. These Wraith had Kryptonian strength layered over their natural speed and feeding abilities. One grabbed her arm, and she felt the feeding hand begin to drain her life force, Wraith's natural hunting method combined with Zadu's absorption technique. The drain was agonizing, more efficient than when Zadu had possessed Jaffa. They can feed on you, Carter realized with horror, firing her P-90 at the possessed Wraith. The bullets did nothing. Wraith normally feed on humans by aging them rapidly. If they can do that to Kara, they can weaken me permanently, Kara finished, tearing free and putting distance between herself and the attackers. Wraith feeding isn't just temporary damage. It's stealing lifespan. Years. Decades. They could age me to death. Well, that's terrifying, Shepard said, activating his jumper's weapons remotely. Drone weapons, ancient technology, launched from the docked ship, targeting the possessed Wraith with yellow energy blasts. The drones were more effective than conventional weapons. Ancient technology bypassed normal defenses, striking at quantum levels. The possessed Wraith staggered, their connection to Zadu flickering. The drones disrupt his possession. McKay was scanning frantically. The ancient weapons interfere with the quantum entanglement he's using to maintain control across the hive mind. If we can hit him with enough sustained drone fire, we might sever his connection to the Wraith Collective, Carter completed. Force him back into a single body that we can actually contain. Then we need more drones, O'Neill decided. Lots more. Shepard, can you call in Atlantis's full arsenal? Already on it. But guys, we've got a bigger problem. Shepard pointed at his heads-up display, which showed multiple contacts approaching. The Hive ship's distress signal just went out. We've got 3 more Hive ships entering the system. If Zadu's in their Hive mind too, then we're facing 4 Hive ships worth of possessed Wraith. Weir's voice came through comm from Atlantis. Colonel Shepard, abort mission. Return to Atlantis immediately. We cannot risk Zadu possessing anyone from the expedition. Negative, Kara said, her decision made. If we retreat, he consolidates power and spreads through the Wraith. Eventually, he reaches Atlantis anyway. We have to stop him here. While he's still vulnerable. Supergirl's right, O'Neill agreed. We're already committed. Might as well see it through. Besides, when has retreating from impossible odds ever been our style? Never, TLC confirmed. We finish this. Together. The possessed Wraith were recovering from the drone strikes, Zadu's consciousness reasserting control. But Kara had seen something during their moment of disruption, fear. Real fear in those stolen eyes. He was vulnerable to ancient technology. Not immune. Not unstoppable. Just very, very dangerous. Plan, Kara said quickly. I draw them into the Hive ship's main chamber. You remote pilot the jumper in behind me with all drones active. Hit him with everything ancient technology can throw. The disruption severs his connection to the Hive mind, forcing him into a single body. Then we contain that body and finish this for real. That's basically the same plan as P3X888, Daniel pointed out. Use you as bait. Yeah, but this time I'm not weakened by red sun radiation, you have better weapons, and we know his possession has limits. Kara met their eyes. Trust me. I've learned from my mistakes. This time, we do it right. O'Neill studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, Supergirl. Show us what you've got. Kara flew deeper into the Hive ship, possessed Wraith pursuing like a swarm of nightmares. Behind her, SG-1 and Shepard's team coordinated the ancient drone assault. This time, she'd stop him. This time, she'd prove she'd earned her place among Earth's defenders. This time, the Invader would become the hero she'd always claimed to be. The main chamber of the Wraith Hive ship was a cathedral of biological horror, pulsing organic walls that breathed, cocoons hanging from ceiling structures like grotesque fruit, and at the center, a throne where the Hive Queen would normally sit. Now it housed something far worse. Zadu sat there, but not in his original Kryptonian body. He'd possessed a Wraith Queen, larger, more powerful, with elongated cranium and elegant features twisted by malevolent intelligence. Golden prior energy mixed with Wraith bioluminescence, creating an aura of sick beauty. Little Kara. The Queen's voice layered with Zadu's tones and Wraith telepathic resonance. You've come to my court. How appropriate. Queens should meet on equal terms. I'm not a queen. And you're not a Wraith. Kara floated in the chamber's center, aware of possessed drones surrounding her but focused on the real threat. You're a parasite wearing stolen bodies, pretending to power you'll never truly possess. Pretending, Zadu stood, and the possessed queen's body moved with terrible grace. I have absorbed hundreds of beings. Consumed their knowledge, their abilities, their very essence. I can possess Wraith across light years through their hive mind. I wield prior abilities, Kryptonian strength, and now Wraith telepathy. What part of this is pretense? The part where you think it makes you anything more than a thief. Kara's eyes began to glow red. You steal power because you can't create it. You consume others because you're empty inside. Krypton didn't imprison you for being visionary. They imprisoned you for being a monster who couldn't accept his own inadequacy. Zadu's expression, on a stolen face, twisted with rage. How dare you? You, who wear the L crest despite being the catastrophe that destroyed their legacy. You speak to me of inadequacy? Yeah, I do. Kara's heat vision lanced out, carving through possessed Wraith drones that tried to intercept. Because I own my mistakes. I came here to fix what I broke. You just keep breaking things and calling it evolution. Then let me show you true evolution. Zadu raised the Queen's feeding hands, and every possessed Wraith in the chamber attacked simultaneously. They came from all directions, ceiling, walls, floor, a coordinated assault only possible through hive mind synchronization. Kara fought with everything TLC had taught her, economy of motion, tactical positioning, using enemy momentum against them. But there were too many, all with Kryptonian enhanced strength and Wraith feeding abilities. One latched onto her back, feeding hand pressed against her spine. She felt decades of life force drain in seconds, her cells aging, her healing factor struggling to compensate. Another grabbed her arm, more aging drain. A third went for her throat. This is how Wraith hunt, Zadu explained almost conversationally while his puppets aged her toward death. Coordinated, efficient, draining prey until only husks remain. And with my enhancements, they're unstoppable. You cannot fight what you cannot touch without being drained. You cannot win. Kara's vision was dimming, her enhanced strength fading as decades of life were stolen. She was dying. Actually dying. No last second save coming. Unless. Now, Colonel. The puddle jumper burst through the organic wall, Shepard piloting with reckless precision. Ancient drone weapons launched by the dozens, hundreds, filling the chamber with yellow energy that struck every possessed Wraith simultaneously. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The drone's quantum disruption severed Zadu's control like cutting puppet strings. Possessed Wraith collapsed, their connection to the hive mind interrupted. And on the throne, the Queen's body convulsed as Zadu's consciousness was forcibly ejected from the distributed network. It's working. McKay shouted from the jumper. The ancient weapons are disrupting the quantum entanglement he used to spread through the hive mind. He's being forced back into a single vessel. But which vessel? Kara struggled to her feet, her stolen life force slowly regenerating under yellow sun radiation filtering through the damaged hull. Around her, dozens of Wraith bodies lay twitching. Anyone could be Zadu's current host. Scan for his energy signature. Carter commanded. He has to be in one of these bodies. I'm detecting multiple quantum signatures, McKay replied, frustration clear. He's trying to jump between bodies faster than the drones can lock him down. We need to trap him in a single form long enough for. One of the dead Wraith exploded upward, moving with Kryptonian speed enhanced by desperation. It was Zadu, not in the Queen anymore but in a male drone's body, golden energy barely contained in a smaller form. "You think you've won?" Zadu snarled, his stolen voice breaking with strain. "I'll just escape to another hive. Another galaxy. Eventually, I'll consume everything, including your precious Earth." "No," Kara said quietly. "You won't." She flew at him not with heat vision or super strength, but with a Goa'uld ribbon device she'd taken from Carter's equipment. The Kara Kesh, hand weapon that channeled willpower into telekinetic force, activated as she grabbed Zadu's current body. "You taught me something on Kalana," Kara said as golden energy from the ribbon device pinned him in place. "That Goa'uld technology can affect Kryptonian biology if applied correctly. The Kara Kesh channels users will directly into force. And right now, my will is to hold you in this body until the drones finish their work." "You can't." "I'll jump," another host. "Not this time." O'Neill was there, slapping something onto the possessed Wraith's chest, an Asgard neural inhibitor that Thor had provided. "This lovely piece of tech prevents consciousness transfer. Locks your mind in whatever body you're currently wearing. No jumping. No possessing. Just you, stuck in a dying Wraith drone." And speaking of dying, TLC added, activating a captured Goa'uld sarcophagus that SG-1 had hauled into the chamber on an anti-gravity sled, "We have prepared containment." The sarcophagus, Goa'uld resurrection device that also corrupted users' morality, had been modified. Instead of healing, it now projected a red sun radiation field concentrated enough to strip Kryptonian powers in seconds. "No," Zadu struggled against Kara's grip and the ribbon device's force. "You don't understand. I've evolved beyond physical limitations. I can." "You can shut up and get in the box," O'Neill said, shoving the possessed Wraith into the modified sarcophagus. The lid closed with a hiss of pressurization. Immediately, red sun radiation flooded the interior. Through the transparent viewing panel, they watched Zadu's stolen body weaken, the golden prior energy fading, the Kryptonian enhancements dissolving. "The Wraith body is dying," Fraser's voice came through comm from Atlantis where she was monitoring. "Red sun radiation is toxic to both Kryptonian and Wraith physiology. He has approximately 10 minutes before cellular collapse." "Good," Weir said firmly. "Beam the entire sarcophagus to Atlantis holding cell. Maximum security protocols. And Supergirl, get out of that hive ship. The other hives are approaching weapons range." Kara staggered, feeling the effects of having decades of life force drained and partially restored. She was alive, but barely. The team surrounded her, supporting her back to the jumper as alarms blared throughout the dying hive ship. "We need to move," Shepard said, already running for the jumper. "Those hive ships are charging weapons. We've got maybe 2 minutes before they open fire on their infected sister ship." They scrambled aboard, Kara collapsing into a seat as Shepard executed a combat launch that threw them through the hole in the hive ship's hull. Behind them, the massive vessel shuddered as Wraith plasma weapons from the arriving hive struck it, destroying the infected ship to prevent contamination spread. "Did we get him?" Daniel asked as they raced toward Atlantis. "Is Zadu actually contained this time?" "The sarcophagus is aboard Atlantis," Weir confirmed. "In our most secure holding cell, surrounded by red sun emitters, ancient force fields, and Asgard technology. He's weakening by the second. Even if he survives the next hour, he'll be powerless. Human-level strength at best." "Then we've won," O'Neill said. "For real this time?" "Not yet," Kara managed, her voice weak from the life force drain. "We've contained him. But those Wraith hives, if any of them were part of the collective when Zadu possessed it, they might still carry traces of his consciousness. Seeds that could grow if given time and opportunity." "She's right," McKay confirmed, reviewing sensor data. "I'm detecting residual quantum entanglement in the surviving hives. Zadu's consciousness was distributed through the hive mind. We severed most connections, but quantum mechanics doesn't just disappear. There are echoes. Fragments. So we didn't kill him, Shepard said. We just scattered him. Great. That's not ominous at all. Thor's hologram appeared in the jumper. The Asgard have been monitoring the situation. We concur with Dr. McKay's assessment. Zadu's consciousness exists in quantum superposition across the Wraith Collective. The primary consciousness is contained, but fragments remain. Can we track them? Carter asked. Hunt down every infected Wraith and purge the fragments. Theoretically possible but practically impossible, Thor replied. There are hundreds of Hive ships across Pegasus. Thousands of Wraith connected through the Hive mind. Identifying and eliminating every quantum fragment would take decades. Then we monitor, we're decided. Track Wraith activity for signs of Zadu's influence. If fragments try to reconstitute, we respond immediately. It's not perfect, but it's sustainable. The jumper docked in Atlantis's bay. Medical teams immediately took Kara for treatment. The life force drain had aged her visibly, her face showing lines that shouldn't exist for decades. Fraser estimated she'd lost 40 years of lifespan in the feeding frenzy. It'll regenerate, Fraser assured her while running scans. Kryptonian biology is remarkable. Under sustained yellow sun exposure, you should recover the lost years within a week. But Kara, you were minutes from death. Again. This is becoming a pattern. I know. Kara looked at her hands, still strong, still capable, but marked by the cost of heroism. But we stopped him. Contained the threat. Saved Atlantis and potentially the entire Pegasus galaxy. That's worth the cost. Is it? Fraser's voice was gentle. At what point does sacrificing yourself stop being heroic and start being suicidal? You've nearly died 3 times since arriving in our universe. How many more times before your luck runs out? Kara didn't have an answer. She'd been operating on guilt and desperation since crashing through Earth's gate, trying to fix her catastrophic mistake through increasingly dangerous sacrifice. But Fraser was right. Eventually, the sacrifices would kill her. I don't know, she admitted. I just know I can't stop. Not while threats remain. Not while I have power to help. Then we'll make sure you survive long enough to help, O'Neill said from the doorway. He'd been listening, apparently. New rule, Supergirl. No more solo heroics. No more playing bait without backup. You're part of a team now. We protect each other. Clear. Clear, sir. Good. Now get some rest. Once you're recovered, we've got about 6 dozen Wraith Hives to monitor and a Kryptonian war criminal to interrogate. Fun times ahead. 72 hours later, Kara stood before the modified sarcophagus in Atlantis's maximum security holding cell. Inside, barely visible through the red sun radiation that filled the chamber, lay what remained of Zadu. The Wraith body had died within hours. But before it did, Zadu's consciousness had been forced back into his original form, or what was left of it. The volcanic trap on P3X888 had damaged him more than they'd realized. His Kryptonian body was scarred, burned, weakened by months of red sun exposure and trauma. He's powerless now, we're explained, standing beside Kara. Red sun radiation stripped his Kryptonian abilities. The prior powers he absorbed have faded without life force to fuel them. And the Asgard neural inhibitor prevents him from possessing or consciousness transferring. He's just a Kryptonian criminal with no powers and no escape. What happens to him now? Kara asked. Permanent containment. The IOA, Takare, and Asgard have all agreed, he's too dangerous to execute but too valuable as intelligence source to ignore. He'll spend the rest of his life in this cell, powerless, monitored, and questioned about Kryptonian technology and the Phantom Zone. Kara looked at the monster who'd killed hundreds, threatened thousands, and nearly destroyed Earth's security. He looked small now. Pathetic. Just a man who'd chosen evil and paid the price. Good, she said quietly. He deserves worse, but this will do. You stopped him, we reminded her. Not just contained, stopped. The fragments in the Wraith Hive mind are inert without the primary consciousness directing them. You saved Pegasus from a threat that could have consumed the entire galaxy. We saved Pegasus, Kara corrected. SG-1, Atlantis, the Asgard. It was a team effort. Yes. It was. We're smiled. Which is why I'm recommending you for permanent assignment to the Stargate program. Not just SG-1, but as liaison between Earth, Atlantis, and any other facilities we establish. Someone who can move between galaxies, respond to threats too fast for normal travel, and represent Earth's interests across the Gate network. You want me to be, what? An intergalactic rapid response? I want you to be what you've always been, a hero. But one who works within our structure, follows our protocols, and accepts that heroism is a team sport, not a solo performance. Weir's expression turned serious. Kara, you invaded our universe by accident. But you've chosen to stay and fight for it. That counts for something. That counts for a lot. Kara looked at the House of El crest on her chest, the symbol she'd nearly lost, that Earth's people had reconstructed and returned. Hope. Not just for her, but for everyone who needed someone to stand between them and darkness. I accept, she said. Whatever oversight, whatever protocols, whatever restrictions. I'm staying. This is my universe now. These are my people to protect. Good, Weir said. Welcome to the Stargate program, Supergirl. Officially and permanently. As they left the holding cell, Kara took one last look at Zadu's powerless form. The monster she'd brought to this universe. The threat she'd stopped. The reminder that power without responsibility led only to imprisonment and failure. She'd learned that lesson. The hard way. Through catastrophic mistakes and desperate redemption. But she'd learned it. And she wouldn't forget. 6 months after the Wraith Hive incident, Kara stood in Stargate Command's briefing room before a wall displaying her mission record. 43 gate travels. 17 first contact situations. 9 combat engagements. 0 catastrophic security breaches. She'd come a long way from the invader who destroyed Earth's iris. Miss Zor-El, General Landry began the review with his usual formality. Present were SG-1, Dr. were via hologram from Atlantis, Commander Thor representing the Asgard, and a Takare delegate named Malek. This is your 6-month performance evaluation. Standard procedure for all SGC personnel, though I'll admit your circumstances are unique. That's one way to put it, O'Neill muttered with a slight smile. Landry pulled up mission statistics. Since your provisional acceptance, you've responded to gate emergencies across 2 galaxies. Rescued SG-7 from a Goa'uld ambush on P2X-338. Provided air support during the Jaffa Rebellion on Chulak. Helped Atlantis repel 3 Wraith Hive attacks. And most recently, prevented a System Lord alliance from acquiring ancient weapons on Proclarish Teonas. All successful missions, Carter added. With minimal collateral damage and 0 unauthorized actions. You followed every protocol, accepted every restriction, and operated within command structure flawlessly. Which is honestly suspicious, O'Neill joked. Nobody's that good at following orders. What are you hiding, Supergirl? Secret plan to take over the world? Just trying to earn the trust you gave me, Colonel. Yeah, well, you've earned it. O'Neill's humor faded into genuine respect. When you first crashed through our gate, I thought you were another powerful alien who'd cause more problems than you solved. I was wrong. You've been an asset, a teammate, and, despite my better judgment, someone I'd trust with my life. Indeed, TLC added. You have proven yourself Chotil, warrior who honors their word through action. The Jaffa resistance considers you ally and friend. Malek spoke with Takare dual tones. The Takare High Council has reviewed your performance. While we initially opposed Earth's decision to integrate a dimensional invader, we acknowledge our concerns were unfounded. You have aided our operatives, protected our assets, and demonstrated the very qualities we value, sacrifice for the greater good. The Asgard concur, Thor's hologram stated. Miss Zor-El has proven herself worthy of the trust Earth placed in her. More significantly, she has grown from impulsive hero into disciplined soldier. This evolution is rare among beings of power. Kara felt emotion tighten her throat. 6 months ago, she'd been the catastrophe everyone wanted contained. Now she was earning praise from galactic civilizations. The weight of that acceptance was almost overwhelming. There is, however, one matter that requires discussion, Landry said, his tone shifting. The quantum fragments of Zadu's consciousness scattered through the Wraith Hive mind. Our monitoring has detected concerning patterns. McKay's face appeared on another screen from Atlantis. Yeah, about that. So remember how I said the fragments were inert without the primary consciousness? Turns out quantum mechanics is more complicated than I thought. The fragments are showing signs of coalescence. Self-organization. Like they're trying to reconstitute into a functional consciousness. How is that possible? Daniel asked. We have the primary consciousness locked in Atlantis. Powerless. Contained. Quantum entanglement doesn't care about physical containment, McKay explained with his usual condescension. The fragments exist in superposition across the Wraith Hive mind. Given enough time and enough Wraith in proximity, they could theoretically reform into a distributed version of Zadu's consciousness. Not as powerful as the original, but still dangerous. How long until reformation? We're asked. Best estimate? 3 to 5 years. Maybe less if the Wraith engage in major culling operations that bring multiple hives into close proximity. Then we have time to develop countermeasures, Carter said. Ancient weapons proved effective at disrupting his quantum signature. If we can create a network of emitters across Pegasus. That would require cooperation from every human settlement in the galaxy, we're interrupted. Thousands of worlds. Most of whom don't trust Atlantis or Earth. The political coordination alone would take years. Or, Kara spoke up, we could address the root cause. The fragments exist because Zadu possessed Wraith. If we could sever that connection permanently, remove his quantum signature from the hive mind, the fragments would dissolve. That's theoretically possible, McKay admitted. But it would require accessing the Wraith Hive mind directly. And the only way to do that is through a Wraith, Kara finished. Someone would need to be fed upon by Wraith, establish a connection to the hive mind, then use that connection to purge Zadu's quantum signature. That's suicide, O'Neill said flatly. Wraith feeding is fatal unless stopped immediately. You're talking about volunteering to be aged to death on the slim chance we can purge quantum fragments before you die. It's not suicide if it works. And I'm the only one who could survive long enough. Kara met their objections with calm certainty. Kryptonian biology is resilient. I could endure Wraith feeding longer than humans. Long enough for your technology to work. Absolutely not, Landry said with command authority. I'm not authorizing a suicide mission based on theoretical quantum mechanics. We'll find another way. General, with respect, there might not be another way. Kara stood, facing them all. I brought Zadu to this universe. His fragments exist because I failed to stop him completely the first time. This is my responsibility. Your responsibility is to follow orders, Landry countered. And I'm ordering you to drop this line of thinking. We have 3 to 5 years. We'll use that time to develop safer alternatives. But sir. Dismissed, Miss Zor-El. We'll reconvene when we have actionable intelligence. Until then, you're assigned to standard gate operations. Kara wanted to argue but recognized the wall she was hitting. She'd spent 6 months proving she could follow orders. Breaking that pattern now would undo all the trust she'd earned. "Yes, sir," she said, and left the briefing room. She found herself on one of Atlantis's outer balconies, overlooking the alien ocean that surrounded the ancient city. The twin moons were rising, casting silver light across water that stretched to the horizon. It was peaceful. Beautiful. Everything Earth had fought to protect. Contemplating disobeying direct orders. O'Neill's voice came from behind her. "Because that's generally a bad career move." "Just thinking," Kara replied. "About responsibility. About whether earning trust means accepting limits on what I can do to help." O'Neill joined her at the railing. "You're thinking about the Wraith feeding plan. The suicide mission disguised as heroism. It's not suicide if it works." "Yeah, you said that. I've used that logic myself a dozen times. Doesn't make it any less suicidal." O'Neill was quiet for a moment. "You know what your real problem is, Supergirl? You think you have to fix everything yourself. That because you brought Zadu here, you're personally responsible for every consequence." "I am responsible." "No, you're not. You're responsible for what you did, pursuing a criminal through a dimensional rift. You're not responsible for what he did after, the murders, the possessions, the threat to Pegasus. Those are his choices. His evil. Not yours. But if I'd stopped him sooner, then maybe fewer people would have died. Or maybe more. Or maybe something worse would have happened." O'Neill turned to face her. "Kara, I've been doing this job for 8 years. I've made calls that got good people killed. I've failed missions where failure meant genocide. I've watched civilizations fall because we couldn't save them. And you know what I've learned? Responsibility means doing your best with the information you have. It doesn't mean sacrificing yourself on the altar of guilt." "Then what do I do?" "Just accept that Zadu's fragments might reconstitute. Wait for the threat to grow. You work with your team. Trust that the people who've been fighting these threats longer than you might have solutions you haven't thought of. And you accept that being a hero doesn't mean dying gloriously, it means living to fight another day. To save more people. To be there when the next crisis hits." O'Neill smiled. "Earth needs you alive, Supergirl. Not martyred." Kara absorbed that, feeling something shift in her perspective. She'd been operating on guilt for 6 months. Trying to earn redemption through increasingly dangerous sacrifice. But O'Neill was right, that wasn't heroism. That was self-destruction wearing a cape. "Thank you, Colonel. I needed to hear that." "Yeah, well, don't spread it around. I have a reputation as a cynical hard-ass to maintain." O'Neill headed for the door, then paused. "For what it's worth. You've become one of the best team members I've worked with. Powerful, sure. But more importantly, reliable. Someone I know will follow orders and trust their teammates. That's rare. That's valuable. Don't throw it away on guilt-driven heroics." After he left, Kara remained on the balcony, watching the moons rise over an alien ocean on a city she'd helped protect. She wasn't the invader anymore. Wasn't the catastrophe who destroyed Earth's security. She was SG-1. She was Earth's defender. She was the hero she'd always claimed to be. And heroes didn't have to die to prove their worth. They just had to keep showing up. Keep fighting. Keep protecting those who needed protection. Her communicator buzzed, "Incoming mission alert. SG-3 requesting aerial support on P9G-844. Possible ORI prior activity. Standard protocol, assess, assist if needed, report back." Kara activated her comm, Supergirl responding. ETA 15 minutes. She launched herself from the balcony, red cape streaming behind her as she flew toward the Stargate. Another mission. Another world. Another chance to prove that power balanced with responsibility could change universes. She'd invaded the Stargate universe by accident. Brought catastrophe. Made enemies. Destroyed trust. But she'd rebuilt it. All of it. Through 6 months of discipline, sacrifice, and learning that heroism wasn't about being the strongest, it was about being the most reliable. The teammate who showed up. The hero who followed orders. The person who earned trust through consistent action. The House of El crest on her chest gleamed in alien moonlight. Hope. Not just a symbol. A promise. That she would protect this universe. These people. These worlds connected by ancient rings and defended by warriors who understood that power meant nothing without responsibility. She was Kara Zor-El, Supergirl. Former Invader. Current hero. And she was exactly where she needed to be. In the months that followed, the Stargate program evolved with Kara's integration. She became more than muscle, she became diplomat, strategist, and a symbol of what Earth stood for. When the Tok'ra needed someone who could survive impossible environments, they called her. When Atlantis faced Wraith cullings, she was there. When the Free Jaffa needed inspiration that former slaves could stand against gods, she showed them. The quantum fragments of Zadu remained a concern, monitored but manageable. McKay and Carter developed early warning systems using ancient technology. Thor provided Asgard sensors that could detect quantum coalescence. And if the fragments ever reconstituted, they'd be ready, not with suicide missions, but with coordinated team response. Because that was what Kara had learned. That heroism wasn't about individual sacrifice. It was about standing with others. Following orders. Trusting that the team was stronger than any single member, no matter how powerful. She'd crashed through Earth's Stargate and Invader. She'd become a hero through patience, discipline, and the hard lesson that power without structure was just another form of chaos. The galaxy beyond Earth's gate held infinite threats. Goa'uld system lords. Ori crusaders. Wraith hives. Replicators. Rogue ancients. Threats that would test Earth's defenders again and again. But they'd face them together. SG-1. Atlantis. The Tok'ra. The Free Jaffa. The Asgard. And flying among them, cape streaming against alien skies, would be a young woman who'd learned that being super wasn't about powers. It was about being someone others could count on when the universe needed heroes. Kara Zor-El had invaded the Stargate universe. But she'd stayed to defend it. And that made all the difference. Indeed. Hit the subscribe button for more interesting stories. Thank you.